I don't have a real reason for streaming. I just kind of feel pretzel pilled, I suppose would be one way of putting it. But are people in the chat? Can people hear or see me is what I want to know. Am I live? Am I on? It's New Year's, so that is extremely exciting. Okay, we have at least one person. What's the situation? Okay. So there's not a special reason. Hello, there's someone here. People can hear and see me. Okay, good. We've got messages. It takes a second for everything to load, so I wanted to see if... Great, that's exciting. I don't have a special reason for streaming, except for the fact that I'm making pretzel buns, and I think it would be a little bit sad to do it alone, and I think it would be nice to have company and things like that. So because we're doing these veggie burgers for dinner, which I've already made the patties for. They were frozen weeks in advance. And it's, I mean, I guess it's not an especially like fancy dinner for New Year's, but I think that it's going to be very tasty and fun. And so I'm very excited about all of that. I'm doing this recipe and I've never actually made these before, so I'm really hoping they turn out. I have in the fridge something that I'm also incredibly nervous about, which are these 48-hour chocolate chip cookies that everybody is always talking about in the internet. From BuzzFeed. So I made the dough yesterday, and you're supposed to let it rest for 48 hours. So I hate being patient. I can't do it. But you're supposed to wait 48 hours. So I made like a trial run of the dough where we just, you know, chilled it for like an hour or so and baked it, and they were really, really good. They were delicious. But I'm still somehow nervous about letting them sit. It's very scary. I don't know. I had to actually make my own toffee for that recipe, and I was so scared that I was gonna burn the sugar. I'd never made anything like that before, so I was really very nervous, but also I'm very excited. So similar situation with pretzel buns. You have to do like a water bath with baking soda, and this is not something that I've done before, but I think we can make it happen. There's going to be some time of letting the dough rest, presuming we can get that far, and then all will be well in the world. Okay, so the recipe that I'm using is this Sally's Baking Addiction one. I have Sally's Baking Addiction on one tab and Revolutionary Girl Utena on a pirating site in the other tab, so, you know, I think that we are pretty suited to go. Okay, the first is the yeast in the water. So I'm gonna put the kettle on, and this is actually a very nice kettle because it tells you the temperature that the water is at. For some reason it's in Fahrenheit. I don't know why it's in Fahrenheit, given the fact that we don't use it here, but the recipe also uses Fahrenheit. So in this case, I'm not going to complain. Okay, so we're gonna mix some yeast and some warm water together, which is gonna be 1.5 cups. I know, I love piracy. I love theft. I love crime. I love stealing. I love such things. This is the kind of maybe a bit overkill in terms of bowl size, but I don't have a slightly smaller one, and otherwise I only have much larger ones, so the FBI can have as many questions as they want about my anime pirating. I don't live under their jurisdiction. They have no control over what I do. You'll have to call the CIA to complain about my anime piracy. Would you download a car? I would always download a car. I would download a car right now. I love stealing. It's great. All right, we got 360 mils or 1.5 cups. I'm just gonna go for 1.5 cups. Oh, and that is 100 Fahrenheit, which is what we want the water to be at. And I'm actually gonna put a little bit of extra water in there because I think I got it a little hotter than I should, actually. Give that a minute. For some reason, the yeast activation part is always the part that stresses me out so much because I'm so scared that my yeast is just always constantly dead. So one hopes. That is true, you could 3D print a car. What is that in Celsius? In Celsius, it should be about 38 degrees. But like I said, for some reason, my kettle uses Fahrenheit, and I don't know why, so we're using Fahrenheit today. Well, yeah, we could use Kelvin if we wanted to be extra silly with it. We could do that. Okay. It's slightly hotter than I'm hoping, so I'm gonna Google what temperature kills yeast. What? Because I'm so scared I'm gonna kill my yeast, and it's gonna mess this whole thing up. 130 to 140 Fahrenheit or 55 to 60 Celsius kills yeast. We're not anywhere close to that. Yeah, we're fine. This is safe. This is safe yeast over here. Okay, we got 1.5 cups of water, which is gonna go in our bowl. Excitedly so. That's 1/2 cup. Do I talk fast? I feel like I'm intentionally talking more slowly right now so that I don't just talk absurdly fast. Oh, am I gonna be watching the Mean Girls movie? I'm not going to pay money to watch the Mean Girls movie, because I don't think it's gonna be good. Okay, well, here's the thing. I didn't like the musical, and we know that I didn't like the musical because I did a video about not liking the musical. But I somehow feel like I'm going to like the movie even less. It's the fact that it won't even admit to being a musical. Like, don't get me wrong, I think that, I understand that there are real reasons, audiences might not necessarily like musicals, and they might be scared of them, and, they're trying to trick people into watching and then make them fall in love with it. I get the intent, but it doesn't bode well for the premise of a movie when it seems like the movie is apologizing for itself. And I feel like it's really doing that, which I'm just not really fond of. I wasn't fond of the songs in the first place, and I'm not really anticipating doing any other really changes to it that would really fix that. However, I probably will watch it. Okay, I will pay for it under the circumstances that, maybe somehow it gets crazy amazing reviews, and then I will pay for it out of morbid curiosity. Or if it's supposed to be really, really bad, then I will definitely watch it, illegally, just for fun. My big worry is that it's not even going to be really, egregious in the sense that, oh, it's gonna have all of this horrible stuff in it, there's gonna be big cringy moments that are gonna be memeable. My big worry for a movie like this is that it's just gonna be boring, which I really hope it's not, because I do enjoy having silly little things to watch. Oh, you think my Mean Girls video is my best video? That's very sweet. It was just a little guy that I made, but I don't know. Sometimes you just watch something and it takes over your mind, and yeah, my worry is it's gonna be less of a Dear Evan Hansen and more of a Rent. Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it, because the Rent movie, it's giving us nothing, but it's not even giving us nothing in a really fun way. At least with the Dear Evan Hansen movie, you have oh, Ben Platt looks like he's 50 and he's about to cry every time he says anything. That at least is something that you can kind of watch and make fun of and be like, what am I experiencing here? Whereas with a movie that's more like Rent, I'm like, I just feel like I wasted my time, which I'm not as necessarily excited about. Okay. We've done the first monumentally difficult task with the pretzel bun of actually doing the water and the yeast. So it says that we're gonna let it sit for 1 minute, which doesn't feel like enough time, but we're gonna do that. Meanwhile, we're gonna melt a tablespoon of butter, and we're going to do some salt, some brown sugar, and some melted butter together. I probably should have read the recipe in advance, or I wouldn't have done the thing that I'm doing right now, in the largest bowl. I would have reserved that bowl, but I, however, flew too close to the sun, and now I'm paying the price for it. Oh, yeah, you're right. It is. I should be holding a mug. I should be holding a mug while I talk. It's the only natural thing that I should be doing here. You're right. Rent 2005. Oh, I know. I had the exact same experience. I watched the movie and then I saw the musical and I was like, oh, I see. It's true. You know what? It's not that I didn't make the right decision to do this in advance. It's just that I'm not a coward, and that I'm very brave, and that I'm not afraid to be a yeast maverick. And you can quote me on that. I'm so sorry for that horrible sound. I don't know if I don't know if it was picked up on the camera, but there's that horrible scraping sound, and I can't stand it. How is wedding planning going? Oh, it's going great. It is less than a month out from the wedding. If you're wondering why I'm not wearing my ring, it's because the dough needs to be kneaded and I didn't want to get dough in my ring. Yeah, I'm getting married next month. absurdly excited for it, but I'm also gonna be a little bit sad because I am the sort of person who really, really likes like meticulously planning every detail of something, because for me, planning something kind of lets me microdose actually doing it. You know, I get to experience the joy of the event like a million times over because I'm thinking about it constantly. And so I feel like I'm going to be very excited to have actually done it, but I also feel like the planning excitement will have to go away, and that's just very, very sad for me. But I am very excited. I'm looking forward to seeing everything kind of come to fruition. Oh, I have other people here. We're not doing catering because we're getting married in a restaurant, so we didn't have to bring out any outside caterers. We're like very big fans of food and edible things. So for me, like probably the most important thing was making sure that the food was really good, because I really don't like there's a really specific kind of like banquety food that it's one of those ones where, you know, it's like, here's a stale bread roll and a salad, and I'm not fond of that. So I was like, the food's got to be really good. So that's why we went for a restaurant, and it's actually kind of nice because it takes away a lot of the like worrisome parts of having to organize that. How much is a tablespoon of butter in grams? I don't like to leave it up to the eyeball. Tablespoon of butter, that's 14 grams. Let's do 14 grams of butter. Let's melt that puppy. Let's go here. And let's go here. Boss move, bringing in catering to the restaurant where you're getting married. Honestly, that's kind of a power move. I feel like if someone did that, I would sort of have to respect it a little bit. I'm gonna get a bowl to microwave these thingies in. I hope this is a microwave safe bowl. One hopes. Okay. 14 grams. Well, that's 16 grams, but you know what? Let's be a little bit silly with it. Okay. Thoughts on the plagiarism video? Oh, the plagiarism video, the H. Palmer Kai video. I loved it. I was so happy. I actually have a little cameo in that video at one point where I'm commenting on one of the James Somerton live streams, and I'm the one who was like, you have 3 or 4 plagiarism accusations. Turns out it was way more than 3 or 4. Yeah, it's a great video. I think that Harry did an excellent job with it. I'm very proud of him. Oh, yeah. That was a jump scare. Okay, so we're melting the butter. We are gonna melt it. We melt it with salt, brown sugar. Wait, what the fuck? Hang on. What is this recipe? Melt 1 tablespoon of butter, whisk in salt, brown sugar, and melted. So there's 2 things of melted butter. Okay, sure. All right. Is she melted yet? Yeah, she's melted. She's beautifully melted. I'll just substitute brown sugar with flour. Yeah, I don't see the problem. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, we're gonna do a tablespoon of butter, and then we're gonna do salt. Okay, melt a tablespoon of what the fuck? Okay, melt a tablespoon of butter, then whisk in salt, brown sugar, and melted butter. So, whatever. I'm not gonna worry about it. I think it's just a typo. All right, we're gonna do the melted butter. She's gonna go in here. Okay, how much brown sugar it gets added? A tablespoon. We can do a tablespoon. It's the same butter. Okay, it's the same butter. The reason I ask is because this is only a small amount of the total amount of butter that this recipe is supposed to use. And so I'm like, when does the extra butter get incorporated? Salt, then lime, then shot. It's redundant and repetitive and tautological. That's what I think. Okay, tablespoon. Why is there brown sugar in this? That's actually interesting. I didn't know that there was any sugar in pretzels. I got it. My tightly packed tablespoon over here. She's going in. I love her. She saves my life. Tautological is absolutely a word. It's, the tautology. It's the repetition. What are my thoughts on vegetable oil? You're right. The rest of the butter is probably kneaded in. Australia. Oh, it is 2024 for people. That's exciting. Any plans for 2024 outside of the wedding? No, because I have a non-YouTube job now, and I have to work all the time. So I'd really like to travel in 2024 and sort of do some do some exciting stuff, but I can't take the time off work yet because I don't have vacation time yet because Canada is one of the worst countries for mandatory vacation time. It's better than the States in the sense that we have some legally mandated vacation time, but if you compare it to like any country in Europe, it's truly embarrassing. Okay, how much salt? A teaspoon of salt. We can do a teaspoon of salt. I love a teaspoon of salt. A teaspoon of salt is like a girlfriend to me. Do I have a teaspoon? Now that is the question. Or is she in the wash? I think she's in the wash. However, the wash is clean, so I just need to empty it. Where is my teaspoon? Well, I can't find my teaspoon, so we're gonna use my quarter teaspoon and we're just gonna do 4 of these. Canada's kind of like if you put a blanket over the most embarrassing parts of the US, but it wasn't big enough to cover the other 900 major offenses. That's extremely accurate. That is painfully accurate. I did not see Wonka because I thought it was gonna be really bad, but now people are saying that it's wonking their world, and so that kind of makes me want to see Wonka. Is it good? I mean, it's by the Paddington guys, and so, you know, that makes me optimistic. People, I know, I was so shocked that people actually liked Wonka. Also, apparently it's a musical. I didn't know that there were musical numbers in Wonka. Okay, we're whisking everything together, but I don't like to whisk, so we're gonna use the spatula that I use to mix everything. Who up wonking their willy? Did you watch Gundam Witch from Mercury? Is that the Gundam that's just Utena again? I haven't seen any Gundams, but I know that there is a Gundam season that is just very clearly doing Revolutionary Girl Utena, but no, I have not seen it. I've heard good things. I've absolutely heard good things. Okay, that's all mixed together. Okay, we're gonna add 3 cups of flour. However, 3 cups of flour is also 469 to 500 grams of flour, which seems like a better way to measure that. Let's see here. We add the flour, 3 cups of flour, 1 cup at a time until it's thick. All right. I'm gonna use my cups, but I'm still gonna use the like food scale so that I'm still making sure that we're being precise about this because I don't know. I don't like when it just says cups. I feel like with baking, you know, how you measure a cup of flour is so variable. You gotta have the grams. You gotta be gram pilled. You gotta be a gram chad. All right, that's 1 cup. Let's mix it. I did have a sourdough starter, but to be fair, that was during COVID when everyone had a sourdough starter, and I didn't do great with my sourdough. Where is my shirt from? My shirt is from Reformation. I really like it. I've never really had anything quite like it, so I'm a big enjoyer of the Reformation. Let's see, Gundam Yuri is like air to me. Listen, if you're not enjoying a little bit of Yuri every day, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Things went sour. What was my favorite movie from this year? Okay, it's a weird thing because I'm sure that I saw movies this year, but as soon as I was asked any questions about what movies I saw this year, I would immediately completely forget anything I saw. What did I see? I saw Barbie, which, you know, it's Barbie. I had fun with it. I, you know, dressed up to go to the movies. I saw the new Hunger Games prequel, which was okay, but I was honestly I was expecting more. I didn't read the book, so to be fair, I can't judge it on those metrics, but it just didn't serve to me, and I wish that it had. It wasn't bad, I wanted more. What else did I see? I'm sure I saw more movies than just those 2, but now I'm suddenly at a loss for literally every single thing I could have ever even seen this year. As soon as, oh, Spider-Verse 2! Spider-Verse 2 came out this year. I fucking loved Spider-Verse 2. I loved it. That was really good. I have some friends who work in animation, so it's always very interesting to watch these kinds of movies after like hearing, cause there was that expose about the Spider-Verse like production kind of things that came out. Like what is that? Like the production of Spider-Verse 2 that came out. But knowing people who are in animation, it's like, oh, people are finally talking about this. But, you know, it was a great movie. I just wish that it had been made under better conditions, you know? Boy and the Heron, I really want to see. I also want to see Killers of the Flower Moon because I didn't see that, but I would like to. What else did people... I'm not going to tell you guys what my real life job is. The only thing I'm going to say about that is that if you knew what it was, you would be like, yeah, unfortunately, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, the D&D movie. Oh, yeah, shit, I saw the D&D movie too. See, this is what I mean. I completely forgot about every single piece of fiction that came out this year as soon as I was actually asked that question. The D&D movie was good. I thought it was like a fun, cute blockbuster. I was sort of... In some ways, I was sort of surprised by the response to it because while I thought it was good, people were talking about it like it was, like, you know, the most incredible thing they'd ever seen and like it was, you know, understood D&D culture better than anything else. And I thought it was like a cute, fun blockbuster. To be fair, I do sometimes feel kind of disconnected from certain aspects of like D&D play culture a little bit, just in the sense of like the norms in those spaces and things like that. But I thought it was... like, it was good, but we also literally had, like, an unironic, like, dead wife under the bed sheets flashback. Like, I don't know. It was cute. It was a fun blockbuster. I did not find it life-changing, but I liked it. I did not see Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, I also felt like it was, like, yeah, it was very solid. Let's see, what else? What else even came out this year? I'm gonna Google 2023 movies because I feel like I didn't fucking see any of this. I didn't see any of these movies. I didn't even know about any of these movies. Oh, Elemental came out this year. Oh, yeah, I did not see Elemental. I did see The New Little Mermaid. And actually, I had a really fun experience seeing The New Little Mermaid because I went to a drive-in for the very first time. There's a drive-in theater, and I'm so sad. It's in Abbotsford, so it's like right outside of Vancouver. And right after we went, I found out that it's closing next year, which is so sad. But I went with Emily and my fiance to go and see The Little Mermaid, and that was kind of the perfect locale of which to see it because, you know, it was not like a bad movie, but it's also one where there's certain, like the fucking Aquafina song where you like, it's more fun to kind of make fun of it a little bit, but you know, if you're in a drive-in, you can just do that in the car without disturbing anyone, so I had a very good time with that. I did not see Wish. I probably, like, again, will at some point, but I have not yet seen it. Did I watch Buffy season 6 this year? Not for the first time. I watched Buffy season 6 for the first time when I was, exactly. I got to MST3K it. I watched Buffy season 6 for the first time when I was a teenager, and like I said in that Buffy video, which if you haven't seen it, hello, I made a video about Buffy season 6 and why I think that, like, darkness is important to explore in fiction, and, you know, why it's a good season, but also why it's kind of bad, and, you know, why I love it so much. Yeah, I saw it for the first time when I was a teenager, and I'm very thankful that I did, because I think that was the perfect time for me to watch it, for some of its themes to kind of resonate with me. It's also been a big inspiration for the D&D campaign that I'm currently in. I wonder if you guys can actually see it. You probably can't with this shirt, but I also recently got a tattoo of my D&D character, and so she's in a similar situation right now of having sacrificed her life for a loved one, dying, and, you know, being brought back sort of against her will and having to experience that. It's not like, we're not doing like a one-to-one recreation of the Buffy plot or anything, but it was a really big inspiration, and I'm very happy that it was. Is it? Can people see? I can't tell if it's like visible. Come on, Kimber Fisher. Kimber Fisher! She's my monk and 3 levels in Rogue, and I love her so much. So that was one of my favorite developments of the year. I did not see the Mario movie. I'm sure it was good, I just didn't see it. What's the next step of this recipe? I've been mixing this dough for a while, just kind of talking about Buffy and stuff. Okay, we are going to mix it until it's thick. Then we're going to add 3/4 cup more flour until the dough is no longer sticky. We've added exactly 400 grams so far, and the recipe calls for 469 to 500, which is a really oddly specific measurement, but I'm not going to complain. That brings it up to 462. Let's bring it to, that's 477. We're going to be good with that. Let's see. Saltburn I did not see, but I should. What else came out? I did not see Five Nights at Freddy's. I did not see Trolls Band Together. Oh, Band Together, that's kind of funny. I did not see Shazam. I did not see Guardians of the Galaxy or Ruby Gilman Teenage Kraken. Let's see here. Yeah, I haven't even heard of most of these. I feel like I've been really out of touch Thursday about pop culture this year, unfortunately. Oh, the new Buffy audio drama. I mean to, and I will, but I have not yet listened to it. Would I ever do an analysis of Buffy season 5? No. Like, at least not for the channel. You know, I kind of feel like my thoughts on all of the Buffy seasons were sort of included there when I talked about my thoughts on season 6. You know, I got to do like my little diatribe about, you know, Buffy season 4 and what didn't work for me there. I got to talk about season 7. I was able to sort of talk about, you know, talk through some of my issues with like Joss Whedon as a showrunner, but then some of the work of the other people. I think if I was just gonna do another video at this point, just kind of rehashing a season of Buffy, I don't know. I feel like I've said most of what needs to be said. I talked enough about season 5 in that video. That being said, I do think that season 5 is probably my favorite season of Buffy when I kind of put all of it together. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I don't know. For me, there's just a lot of aspects of that season that really, really work for me. A lot of people hate Dawn, but I really love her. Maybe it's just the fact that, you know, I'm also a youngest sibling. You know, I've been the Dawn in that circumstance. And I think, like, for me, like, my sister is, like, an incredibly impressive person. And, you know, when I was a teenager, you know, she's, like, a doctor now. Like, she's amazing. And when I was a teenager, there was that feeling of, like, oh, I feel like there is so much pressure to, like, live up to this. And I don't feel that way anymore, but, you know, I did when I was a kid. And so having a character like Dawn who, you know, has these similar feelings about, you know, your older sister literally being the chosen one. And of course, there's, you know, that creates so much pressure on Buffy, but you don't see that when you're 14. You just see, you know, this amazing person who you're always necessarily going to be compared to, and you see all of the ways that you are unremarkable compared to them. And so I really like that is a conflict with Dawn that is being brought up in, like, later seasons as well. Like, yeah, of course she's kind of annoying sometimes, but also, like, she's 14. She's had fucking people try to kill her ever since she was a kid, at least as far as she remembers. She then later learns that all of those memories are false. Like, yeah, I would be annoying too, and I don't know. For me, like, part of it as well is that like, for me, I guess that kind of like listening to Dawn, like, get to, like, yell and scream and, you know, be really kind of, you know, a little bit emotionally immature sometimes and still have people really care for her was also very important to me because, like, I don't know, for me when I was a kid, I also had a lot of, like, what I would now, like, being able to look back, be like, oh yeah, those were, like, meltdowns because, you know, you were, you know, but I didn't know that at the time, and I don't know. So having, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, Dawn seems very unrealistic for her age, like, you know, clearly she was written to be a younger character and they didn't really age her up in the writing. For me, I actually think that aspect of her really resonated with me, and to some extent still does, but especially when I watched the show when I was, like, 14, 15, so... Not vanilla extract. Don't tell me. Dawn is not Scrappy-Doo. Dawn is great, and I am a big fan. Who are my favorite YouTube creators? Ooh, oh gosh, I like so many people. In terms of, like, video essays, who have I been watching? I've been watching Princess Weeks. She did a video just today on, like, or if it was not today, it was, like, the other day. She did a video on, like, the fictional portrayals of rebels in different things, and she talked about the new Hunger Games, and she talked about Killers of the Flower Moon, and she talked about the Avatar comics, and I thought that was a really good video. CJ the X is always making amazing stuff and constantly, like, elevating the genre, so I'm a big fan of them. Let's see, who have I been watching? I've been watching, Tony Zarrett is hilarious. James Somerton. Oh my god, not James Somerton. If I can never hear about James Somerton again. The thing is, like, James, because I was in that video, I was the one who was like, you've been doing plagiarism, James. And so I was in the comments of that live stream when he was like, there's not 3 or 4. My co-writer does all the videos. If you're accusing me, you're accusing Nick. And I was like, this guy is such a fucking dick. And so I don't know, I felt so vindicated when that video came out, to be totally honest. But now I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm sort of in a situation where I think that the stuff that James did was obviously, like, really horrible, and I'm very happy that that he is no longer in a position where he can, you know, steal the works of others and mislead the public and things like that. And to be honest, there was like, I had some like schadenfreude at it, but I also feel like anytime I do feel that like schadenfreude style emotion, I feel like I have to kind of tell myself to slow it down a little bit. It's sort of a situation where it's like, I think that there needed to be, I think that Harry needed to do it in the way that he did it, because any kind of like piecemeal releasing of evidence would have led to James Somerton doing the thing that he always does, which is to like delete videos bit by bit and deny it and refine his narrative. So it had to be as comprehensive as it was. I'm happy that it was viewed so widely. I'm happy that James is no longer in like a kind of a position of like authority and that people do not take his words, you know, as credibly anymore. But yeah, I don't know. I think, so this is not a critique of Harry. I think Harry's video was excellent. But I guess it's sort of a thing where I think that his apology was manipulative, most certainly. And, you know, I think that was the intent. But at the same time, I also can't hear, you know, I have this part of me that instinctively does sort of, if not sympathize, at the very least empathize, of like, yeah, that must have been like a really terrifying 24 hours. And did he bring it upon himself? Yes, but also, I don't know. I don't even really know what I'm saying here. Just, I guess I just sort of hope that people can move on now, I guess. And I also think that people should not only think about James as like an isolated incident, but more like what kind of circumstances and what kind of conditions led to someone like James becoming popular in the first place. So I hope that it doesn't just lead to people sort of saying, oh, here is the problem with this one guy, here is this guy who sucks, who we should all hate, but rather like, okay, how are we creating James Somertons? Like, for one, I think there is this idea that if somebody says something in a tone that is confident enough and authoritative enough, and like, I hate to say it, but especially if it is a white dude, that people are just kind of going to instinctively want to believe it. Video essays are interesting because in a lot of ways they present themselves as an academic medium, but they don't have the same academic standards placed on them as, for example, a real paper. And this is not, of course, like a defense of academia or to say that there are no problems with academia, but it's an interesting situation where things that are like kind of video essay based are sort of taken seriously to some extent as academic, and we are often perceived as academics, but there's nobody like peer reviewing our stuff. It doesn't need to pass any level of like institutional like gatekeeping in order to be published. And you know, that's not of course all in a wholesale defense of those processes, but like, it is, you know, maybe we shouldn't be putting so much faith in fucking video essayists to be telling the truth all the time and things like that, you know? And I think that there's also, yeah, no, good discussion on how to spot James Somerton, exactly. And you know, I'm just fucking riffing on a live stream. I don't have, you know, perfect systemic solutions to, you know, what we should be doing about James Somertons, how to kind of fully prevent this from ever happening. You know, even if you removed all of the material, like financial incentives to make videos like that, which, you know, I think were very real, some of why, you know, James and Nick's content acted as a content mill was the fact that there was a very real, like, financial incentive to do that. They were making, you know, one video every week because, you know, James was making, they calculated, you know, something like $200,000 a year, I think were the calculations. And you can't do that without stealing other people's work, I think. You can't make what appear to be high quality video essays without cutting some corners. So some of the incentives to do that, I think, are purely financial, but I also don't think that's like the entire story, because I also just think that there's a very real kind of like attention incentive for doing that. So I don't know kind of what the perfect systemic solution would be. I just hope that people don't see that kind of issue of plagiarism on YouTube and think just like James Somerton sucks. He does, but it's not just about him. I think it's a much larger problem, and solutions to have to be much larger than talking about how much we hate one dude and his stupid turtlenecks. Okay, what is the next? Sorry, I kind of went on a bit of a, yeah, you're right. I named my favorite YouTubers and then someone mentioned James Somerton in the chat and then I completely went off topic. Okay, what is the, Happy New Year to you as well. My favorite Doctor, I'm a basic bitch, it's David Tennant. I like Seven as well, I'm a big fan of the Seventh Doctor. What is the next step after this? Have I kneaded the dough? Does this count as kneading? I feel like I'm kind of kneading it. All right, we're gonna grease the bowl. We're gonna cover it with plastic wrap and we're gonna let it rise in a warm environment until it's nearly doubled in size. So that's gonna be about 1 hour. So this is the dough. It's not beautiful, it's kind of shaggy and I'm not totally happy with it. So I might do like a little bit more, kind of like kneading it a little bit and then, yeah, we'll do a little bit with this dough and then we're gonna let it sit and we can chat. And then I'm very excited for actually getting to shape these pretzels. I think they're gonna be so good. I do not watch Markiplier, no. What are my Vancouver hot takes? Oh, the $5.49 from Journey. Thank you so much, Journey. Happy New Year. My Vancouver hot takes are that the people on r/Vancouver are the most miserable motherfuckers I have ever seen in my entire life. They constantly talk about how much they hate the city. They're like, oh, people in Vancouver are so boring and they're no fun and it's so miserable. But if you go to like the comment section on r/Vancouver, when they're talking about like any event in the city, anything, all they're doing is like curmudgeonly like complaining about it. And it's like, the reason you think that this city is boring and no fun is because you're boring and no fun. Not to mention the way people in that subreddit start talking anytime like homelessness is brought up. The way people in Vancouver just fucking despise anyone who doesn't have housing is truly despicable. But yeah, I guess that's my Vancouver take. Okay, I'm gonna wash my hands and then I'm going to cover this with, I don't have any I think I have like some beeswax wrap that I still have. And then I'm gonna let this rise and then, okay, you know what, you're right. I think that's probably true of every city's subreddit. r/Calgary, because I used to live in Calgary, they were shitty in other ways. I will say they didn't seem as like curmudgeonly and negative as the Vancouver people. So, you know, that is a way in which I think Vancouver is sort of like uniquely worse, but you know, I guess that's just like very subjective though. I always get dough under my fingernails and then I have to free myself from that. Okay. Yeah, a dish towel is probably a good bet as well. Let me check if I have any of I have beeswax wraps, but I don't know if they're big enough. Do I remember all of the provinces and territories from memory? I hope so. There's only like 13 of them, so what is it? BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland and Labrador, Prince Edward Island, Nunavut, Northwest Territories, Yukon. Yeah, I didn't miss any, did I? Yeah, there's not very many of, oh, did I not say Nova Scotia? Yeah, there's not very many of them, so I feel like we, in that sense, are at a real educational advantage over the Americans. Because you hear about how people in the States, when they're kids, have to like label all 50 states and remember all of their capitals and stuff, and I'm just like, we have 13! It's great. The capitals? Why are you guys giving me fucking elementary school, like, social studies tests? This is like slightly not the right sense. Why am I getting given a social studies test? You say you're a fan of Canada? Name every province. Ooh, someone asked if there's any content that I would recommend on Nebula. Yeah, if you guys have not seen Lindsay Ellis's new video, The Ballad of John and Yoko, I would highly recommend it. I think it's excellent. I think it might be like one of my favorite videos of hers that I've seen. Oh, I'm being nagged. Sarah, are you complaining because you don't know? Shit, I don't know. BC, it's Victoria, I think. Alberta, it's Edmonton. Saskatchewan, I think it's Saskatoon? Or is it Regina? Oh, I don't know. Manitoba, I'm pretty sure it's Winnipeg. Ontario, it's Toronto, I'm pretty sure, because Ottawa is the capital of Canada, Toronto is the capital of Ontario. Quebec, I think it's Quebec City, but can't quote me on that. It's New Brunswick, I'm pretty sure it's Fredericton. The Nova Scotia, I think it's probably Halifax, because there's no other fucking city in Nova Scotia. Where was it going to be? Fucking Antigonish? No. It's St. John's, Newfoundland. Yukon, it's Whitehorse. Northwest Territories, it's Yellowknife. Nunavut, it's Iqaluit. Prince Edward Island, it's Charlottetown. I think I got all of those, but I also feel like, oh, someone sent me $5. $5 from Snooble Hoobles. Thanks for teaching me the meaning of the phrase, poor little meow meow. It helped me realize I had the same poor little meow meow for 18 years. Antigonish fans in shambles. I've been to Antigonish. It's lovely. They have a really nice chocolate shop. I got some like Pride chocolate from them when I was there. It's really nice, but it's not capital material. I love having some fictional poor little meow meows. Spike from Buffy is definitely mine. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna let the dough rise for like an hour or so. And then we're gonna shape them into balls afterward. I'm also gonna be heating up some water because whenever I'm talking, I get really thirsty. Oh, I also got sparkling for New Year's. I need to put that in the fridge. Hell yeah, Whitehorse mentioned. I don't know anyone from Whitehorse, but I would like to know more people everywhere because I think humanity is lovely and I love to make friends. I don't really watch any history YouTubers, actually. I don't really. But if anyone has any recommendations, I'm certainly not going to complain. What kind of pretzel buns am I making? I'm trying to make buns for like burger buns. Because my thing is, I really like these veggie burgers, but I don't like burger buns typically. I just find that they're kind of pointless bread, and I like the bread to taste good. I know it defeats the purpose of the show, but who do you think Rebecca matched with best in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend? Ooh, I have a really problematic Rebecca opinion for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, because I'm personally a Nathaniel enjoyer. You know, I don't know. I really did not like him when he first showed up. But unfortunately, I just can't help but enjoy Nathaniel. And by the end, I really like the two of them as a couple. And I think the ending was perfect. I think it makes perfect sense that, you know, she needs to find herself before she starts worrying about romantic pairings with others. You know, because the whole theme of the show is that she doesn't need to rely on, you know, defining herself in relation to a partner to be happy. So I think it was the perfect ending, but also Nathaniel. I think she should be with Nathaniel. Yeah, I like Greg, although, you know, I'm sad he had to be recast, although I think they both did a good job. And I like Josh. I don't think, I would be happy if she had ended up with Greg. I don't think I would have been happy if she had ended up with Josh. Not because I don't like Josh, but I kind of feel like if she had ended up with Josh, that she wouldn't, I just don't think it would have been right after everything. I think it would have kind of been against her arc and against the themes. I do think Greg would have been a good match, but it's Nathaniel in my heart forever. Okay, the tea, I'm gonna drink something. Thoughts on Vampire the Masquerade? Ooh, I've never played it, but I did read through the rulebook recently, and I'm a big fan of just kind of like the way that the mechanics are written down, and I love the world building in the Vampire the Masquerade stuff. I would really like to play it at some point. I just don't currently have plans to. No one wanted to review Josh. I know, right? That's so true. Sarah, what work goes into deciding which video to make next? Do you kind of know in advance, or do you ever have to give up in the research phase? Typically, here's my thing. I typically don't like need to give up in the research phase because I only decide to make a video if I already know that I have a good understanding of the topic. Because otherwise, you know, how am I going to make a video if I don't know what the thesis is going to be, right? If I don't know why I'm making that video. And so typically I sort of make a video already having some background of knowledge and already knowing where to look. And sometimes my thesis has changed. You know, I will learn things through information and I'll be like, oh, you know, I need to reevaluate how I perceive this topic. But in terms of, you know, I've never done research that has made me think I need to completely nix this topic, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have decided to do it in the first place. You know, there's times where I have made assumptions about like my own experiences that have turned out not to be necessarily very true. For example, when I was first doing research for my Twilight video, my understanding of it at the time is that, you know, Twilight was primarily enjoyed and liked by like young girls, you know, like young teenage girls. And I think that is just shaped by my experience because I was a young teenage girl at the time that I was into Twilight. So the people who I was experiencing like fandom with, the people who I was talking to were also teenage girls. And so when I was doing research, I was like, okay, you know, conclusion is this probably, but let's look this up. Let's find some sources. And it turns out what I had not known was that there was a pretty substantial, like, what's the phrase? Like a completely substantial block of Twilight fans who were adult women. You know, there was this whole like Twilight Moms forum and things like that. And I just had not been exposed to those people when I was into Twilight, because when I was into Twilight, I was 10. Why would I have been on twilightmoms.com? So I had to sort of reevaluate kind of what my thesis was. And so I think that allowed me to have like a deeper conclusion for the video, But that was an example of one of those times where it's like, oh, I have changed the direction of the video in the research phase, but typically what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't be like, oh, I don't know, I like Supernatural. I'm going to do a Supernatural video, but then not know like what I have to say about it. I've had like a couple times where people have, you know, sent me messages being like, oh, can you make a video on my favorite TV show? Can you make a video on this phenomenon? And it's like, no, because I don't have anything to say about it. I don't have a unique perspective. Like if I made a video about this, the only thing I would be saying is, oh, this thing happened, which I would not feel creatively satisfied with. I only want to make a video if I feel like I actually have something meaningful to say, I think. That's kind of my thoughts on the research question. Have I played Baldur's Gate 3? I started it. But I haven't like finished it. I made my D&D character, Kimber Fisher, in it, which I kind of regretted after the fact. And if you were not here like, you know, 15 minutes ago when you got to see my Kimber tattoo, Kimber is my current character in my my 5e campaign, and I love her, and she's perfect. She is a monk rogue multi-class, 3 levels in Inquisitive Rogue, 10 levels in monk, and I really like her. She's a halfling, she's so tiny. And one of the things about Kimber, which I have really enjoyed playing with in our campaign, is that she is like aromantic and asexual. So she's not interested in romantic relationships with other people. And I've been really happy with that, you know, because my fiance is my DM. So, you know, it's not that I would ever pass up an opportunity to flirt with them, but like, I don't know, it kind of let me do some fun play in terms of like envisioning like alternate modes of relationships. She has some like really fun and complex dynamics with other characters that can't necessarily be summed up as romantic. So I've had a lot of fun with that. But then I started playing Baldur's Gate 3 and I made Kimber as my character because, you know, I don't know, I really like D&D, and I really like my D&D campaign. And I did have what is medically known as turbo autism, and I really like it. And so I'm allowed to say that. So I was like, great, let's do Kimber. And then I sort of realized very shortly that one of the main conceits of Baldur's Gate 3 is that you get to sleep with and date the characters. And so now it's a thing of like, okay, I'm having difficulty seeing any of these characters as romantic prospects because I'm seeing them through the lens of fucking Kimber Fisher, who is not a romantically inclined person at all. And so it's like either I just play this version of her as someone who wants to get down, but it's still weird because that's still my little D&D character and I have trouble envisioning it, or I have to restart and make a new character, or I just don't engage with the romance angle of the game, which I feel like I could do, but I feel like I would kind of be missing out on something a little bit. So somehow it's like this weird little romance problem has actually stopped me in my tracks. So I do still intend to play more Baldur's Gate, but I need to solve this quandary that I'm in and sort of decide how I want to proceed forward with romancing the characters. I know, playing an asexual character in the horniest game of the decade. I know, like literally. I didn't know that when I was like, I'm gonna put my D&D character into Baldur's Gate. So that's something I've been trying to work out for myself. But I want to play Inscription because I'm a big fan of Slay the Spire, and my friend Gio of Homestuck fame recommended Inscription to me. So that's one that I was actually going to play today, but then I didn't. So I'll probably start playing it tomorrow. The only thing that Gio told me is that I need to know what a stoat is, the animal. So that is the only thing I know at this point going forward about Inscription. So that is what I'm really excited about. I've also been playing Slay the Spire. So if you follow me on Tumblr, you'll know. Yeah. If you follow me on Tumblr, you'll know that I've been doing the Ascensions for Slay the Spire. And it's weird because not everyone, but a lot of people say that the Silent is the hardest character to play, but for me, I actually find the Silent the easiest. I think there's just a part of my brain that really needs to play a rogue. Like even my character Kimber has dipped 3 levels into rogue. I have been really happy playing rogues in other stuff. I feel like if I'm not playing a rogue, I need to kind of play a rogue. I say this as someone with autism. The autism is so powerful here. I know. But yeah, I need to play a rogue, and so I don't know. There's just something about the Silent that like tickles my brain in exactly the right way. So I've been playing through all of the Ascensions with the Silent, and I finally beat Ascension 20 the other day. My fiance challenged me to try to beat Ascension 20 before the wedding. So I've been playing really aggressively trying to beat it, and I finally did. So now I've been considering like maybe going through the ascensions with the other characters as well, and maybe trying to beat the heart. But I was most excited about the silent, so I'm like, maybe I'll do it, maybe not. But Slay the Spire is another one that I've been playing, which has been really fun. Gosh, have I been playing any other games? I tried playing Celeste, but it was hard, and I don't like things that are hard, so I quit and stopped. I tried playing Nier Automata, and I died in the tutorial and learned that I would have to replay the tutorial, so I got mad and stopped. I tried playing Stacklands, but then I died, so I got mad and stopped. Vampire Survivors is really fun. Vampire Survivors is my Cocomelon, personally. You can tell if you've ever played, other people are talking about Discworld in the chat. Someone's being weird in the chat. One sec. Let's time them out for half an hour. Cool. What was I gonna say? What was I talking about? I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, Vampire Survivor, yeah. Vampire Survivor is a roguelike game that is designed by, apparently, someone who used to build slot machines for a living. And when you play the game, you can really tell that it was built by someone who designed slot machines for a living. So, you know, it's very fun for me, but it's also one where it's very easy to get sucked into. So so we're talking about Discworld. I have also been reading so many Discworld books this year. I think I read 11 Discworld books, 10 or 11. I've been sort of slowly making my way through the backlog, is that the right word? Backlog feels like a weird way of putting it. Through Terry Pratchett's body of work. So I read all the City Watch books except for Snuff, and I read some of the Industrial Revolution books, and now I'm reading Weird Sisters, which I'm really liking. I feel sad because I think that the City Watch books so far have been my favorite series, and I feel sad that I kind of feel like I'm done with them. Snuff is one of those ones where I've heard it's good, but I've also heard that it was written sort of at the time when Terry Pratchett's Alzheimer's was starting to affect his writing style, and so it's one that I'm a little bit hesitant to go into, or that I feel a little bit a bit sad about reading, and one that I'm kind of saving. But I feel like I'm finished with the Watch series, and I'm sad about that. I read Small Gods last year, and I fucking loved it. That is probably the best of the Terry Pratchett books that I've read. It's so incredible. If anyone here wants to get into Discworld, if anyone is like, oh, I really want to read the Discworld books, but I don't really know where to start, you can read Small Gods, and it is completely a standalone. You don't need to know anything about any of the other characters. It works as an alone thing. It is an absolutely beautiful book. It is basically about, it's written in a society that is basically like it's like a theocracy. People have very like harsh conservative views of like life and theology. There's a religious inquisition going on, and one of the most devout of the kind of believers suddenly learns that his god has been incarnated in the form of a tiny tortoise who he now has to like protect and take with him. It's so good. It's beautiful. I think it's one of those books that regardless of your kind of, whether you are like a very religious person, whether you're an atheist, that you can sort of connect to from that perspective. I really loved it. It's great. Read Small Gods. It's so good. If anyone else is also looking for Terry Pratchett, like starting points, if you want to read a series and you want to get into a series and you kind of want to read like a crime novel sort of thing, the Watch series is so good, and you can start with God's Gods. So that's excellent. I'm only like halfway through the first Witches book, so I don't feel like I'm qualified to talk about that. If you like the Death books, Mort is also a very good starting point. Kira Cat, thank you, Kira Cat, says, "Hi Sarah, I'm 150 episodes into Trials and Trebs. It's really good and helps me get through work." Thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. Trials and Trebuchets is my D&D podcast, and we are currently on hiatus right now, so if you want to catch up, it's a great time. Thank you. I'm so happy you're liking them. Oh, someone says, tortoise. I thought you said tour bus. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is. It's actually a book about a god reincarnated as a tour bus. You know what? That's kind of insane. I would read that. That sounds really interesting, to be totally honest. I think someone said something. I think Monstrous Regiment would be also a really good starting point. Oh, someone was talking about the Tiffany Aching books. Yeah, I'm actually feeling like I want to save those. Because Terry Pratchett also has some like children's like YA style books, and I would like to have kids one day. That is my aim. So I think that would be a nice one to sort of save to be able to read with kids. I think that would be nice. So, and also I don't like the idea of running out of these Discworld books. I would feel so sad about that. Oh, someone asked if I read the Percy Jackson books as a kid. Yeah, I did. I really loved them. I watched the first episode of the new like Disney Plus Percy Jackson show, and I'm really enjoying it. I've only seen the first episode. There's like some kind of like awkward like friction with child actors in the first episode. There's always a bit of awkwardness there, but I thought it was really good overall, and I'm very excited to watch the rest of the series. Oh, I loved the Hunger Games. I'm listening to a podcast, the Shrieking Shack, right now, who are reading the Hunger Games series together for the first time, and it's been so fun. Ooh, Icy Indigo asks, what advice would you give to someone who has never played Dungeons and Dragons before and wants to try getting into it? Okay. So first and foremost, D&D I think is designed around like some very specific assumptions about kind of how the world works. And so if you're not kind of into those, so for example, there's kind of an implicit assumption that like, you're going to be doing combat regularly, that kind of thing. So if you're not really into that, you can also try TTRPGs that are like not Dungeons and Dragons. There's so many of them, and I might talk about those later. I think I did this last time when we streamed, is I kind of just talked for an hour about like indie TTRPGs that I like, so I'll try to avoid doing that this time. But yeah, you don't have to play D&D if you want other ones, but if you do want to play D&D, I would say one thing is if you're going to make a character, make sure that you are kind of making a character who wants to be in a party and kind of wants to do the adventure, because I think sometimes, and I know that this is something that I struggled with when I made my first character, is I was trying to make a character that would be fun to read about in a book or to play in a video game, where it's kind of like, oh, she's kind of a loner, like she's kind of mysterious. But then I'm like, well, I feel like we need to sort of justify that I would want to be traveling with this group, because then we don't really have to go through the motions of like, come adventure with us. So if you play a character who is a team player, it's going to be more fun because you're going to be able to have more fun interactions with other players, and also just going to be give you more options for fun things to do. A lot of combat in D&D relies on like combinations that you would be doing with other people, and working with them is going to be a really nice way of seeing how that works. So for example, I'm in a 2-person party. I'm a monk and my friend is a wizard. So she has this spell called Mental Prison, where if you move out of this like mental prison space, you take a lot of damage. My character has a maneuver where basically you can push someone if they fail a saving throw 15 feet away. So she casts Mental Prison, and then I push the person back, and then they take a bunch of damage because of our little 1-2 combo. So and I think it's also the same thing. People will sort of tell you that you can never play a character who is evil. And to be fair, I think for a first character, I would probably caution against it too. But if you do want to play a character who is a little bit less maybe moral, I think the big important thing is to make them a team player. You can play someone who is willing to do morally unsavory things to the benefit of the other group, but there should be some reason why you all sort of get along and tolerate each other and things like that. So thinking about kind of making characters that will go well with the group is one really nice way of making sure that you're going to have fun. If you are struggling with role-playing, describing your character in the third person for a little while is sort of a good way to dip one toe into it. So for example, you don't have to say like, I walk over and grab the chalice. You can say like, Sabrina walks over and grabs the chalice. That way you're sort of getting to test out getting yourself into the mind of another character, but it feels a little bit less personal, and it feels a little bit less awkward at first. So that is another thing that you can do for that. Let's see. If you're a DM, one of my favorite tips for combat is just like making failure feel cool. Because a lot of the time, what is not very fun in combat is when, your turn comes and you miss and you don't hit, and then it seems like your character just like sucks shit, and then you have to move on. So one of the things that you can do as like DM and players is just to work with each other to kind of describe stuff in like a fun, flavorful way. So for example, it could be something like, you know, instead of just saying I roll to hit, you can talk a little bit more specifically about like, you know, I'm gonna like slide in and, you know, I'm gonna feint over here with one hand, and then as they're distracted, I'm gonna like jam my elbow into their stomach or something like that. That way you are, you know, describing your move in a little bit more fun, and then even if you miss, your DM can use that as a jumping off point to highlight less the incompetence of your character and more like the competence of people who you're fighting with. So for example, it could be something like, you know, yeah, it goes right to their elbow, but it hits their armor, and then they grab onto it and they say something cool. So that way it's like, it's not that you suck, it's just that you are fighting very powerful people. It could still hit, but it's, you know, it's failing to do significant damage. Basically just like when you're playing combat, work with the other people and, you know, let yourself be a little bit flavorful with it, even if it misses. I love when they say something cool, yeah. Those are sort of things that I would think of anyway for kind of making a D&D experience fun. Feel free to like talk to the other people in the game about the game outside of the game, because that's where a lot of fun ideas come from, and being like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen next. What do you think of this character? That sort of thing. Ooh, my favorite Trials and Trebuchets arc, probably Faint of Heart. I liked the start of the Troyal arc, but I thought the end was a little bit, wasn't my favorite, but I really liked Faint of Heart, like sort of the whole way through. I also thought the election arc was really strong. I was a big fan of that, and I was also a big fan of the casino arc. So one of those probably. What else? Oh, as an Ace Attorney fan. Different one. Stop playing a character because all your spells missed. Oh, that's such a frustrating feeling. I'm so sorry. Does anyone remember how long my... It is hard to find groups for indie games, which is a shame because there's, you know, there is such a beautiful wealth of like TTRPG info out there, and it is a shame that, you know, and I really like D&D. I'm a big 5e fan. I know a lot of indie TTRPG fans hate 5e. Personally, I really like it, but I do think that it is a shame that 5e has such a kind of chokehold over the like game community, to the extent that people think that anything that isn't 5e would like be less fun to play, or that you can kind of like homebrew anything you want into D&D. If, you know, if you're happy with that, that's okay, but I think that more people would benefit from getting more stuff to try out, for the same reason you may not want the same flavor of food all the time. Like, for example, I am about to play this really cool game, and it's so fucking sick. I have had this on pre-order for months. There's a local game store in Vancouver, called Rain City Games, and it's awesome, and I love them, and they're like in Tinseltown, which is like such a shitty mall. It's like the Eau Claire of Vancouver. It's great. I love it there. And there's a place inside that does the best omurice, which is Tokyo in April. So we would go for omurice and then go to the game store, and it's like our favorite little like date thing. Anyway, I ordered this from them months and months ago, but they have to like physically hand make these things. So it took me months for the order to come out, but I finally got it, and it's so fucking cool. It is called Fall of Magic, and it comes with a fucking handmade scroll that you unfurl over the course of the game, and it's so fucking cool. You start here, and literally as your characters start to travel, you then become able to like unfurl more of this tapestry and go to more locations. There's like these coins that it comes with, there's these islands that come in cards. It's this huge thing. It's so gorgeous. It's all handmade. So I haven't started playing it yet, but I made my character for it, and my partner made their character for it, so I'm really excited for that. I am Caspian, the Fox of Mistwood. So we talked about, so it's very fun because it lets you do this sort of creative thing where it gives you this title, but it's up to you guys to kind of determine what these titles are. And so for us, what we thought could be sort of cool for Fox of Mistwood is, what if that meant like an open spy? Like if espionage was sort of known, and it was almost as if you were like a spy whilst being a public figure. So people are aware that that is sort of your role, but also that also means that you almost serve in some ways as a meat shield for like the real espionage to happen. I had more for that, but that's kind of a fun idea that we've been going with, and like, what does that mean? And yeah, so Fall of Magic is so fucking cool, and I cannot wait to play it, and the fact that it comes with a scroll is so fucking sick to me. I don't know, like that's the kind of thing where it's like, I really do like D&D 5e. I truly do. I think that there is so much to like about it, and like, you know, I love the mechanics, I love combat, but I also feel like if I didn't ever play any other games, you know, you wouldn't have like this system that literally comes with like a fucking handmade scroll you can play. You wouldn't have, I have this game that I'm ordering right now, which is like this journaling game where one of the mechanics is that you make a tower with your dice, and you add dice to your tower whenever a major event happens, and then when it falls down, you know, as it inevitably will, that like represents a shift in something that happens to your character. Like, I don't know, there's so many fucking cool mechanics that 5e doesn't have, and I love it, but I also think that it would be a shame if you know, people didn't get the chance to try other things out. So all this to say, if you want to play other games, but you're having trouble finding a table for it, you have to like subtly mentally influence your 5e friends to start playing these other things too. You gotta, you know, suggest it for a one-shot every once in a while, and really peer pressure them for it. And I promise eventually they will hopefully come through. I played this game with my friends. Alice is missing. And it is a role-playing game that is played entirely through text message. So you're sitting at a table and you have like this timer that's going as you're investigating the disappearance of your friends, and all of the conversation is happening while you're like texting each other as these people. Like, what? That's crazy. It's so cool. God, there's so much fucking cool stuff out here. I love it. It's awesome. I love TTRPGs. It's true. Yes, peer pressure your friends into doing something that they may not want to do. And you can quote me on that. Sorry, I feel like every single time I do one of these, it just evolves into me literally just talking about tabletop role-playing games. One of these days, I really will make a video on the subject, but I want to wait until I have something that's interesting to me to say first. I don't want to just make a video to make a video. Call of Cthulhu is a system that I actually don't like, and it's a shame because everyone loves Call of Cthulhu. And everyone speaks so highly of Call of Cthulhu, but I think it's the only RPG system that I have played. Okay, there's a couple like small ones. Like I played this, well, I don't want to name it because it's a very like small RPG. I played a couple I don't like, but in terms of big ones, honestly, Call of Cthulhu is the only like big TTRPG that just does not do it for me. I don't like the skill system. I don't know. I don't like the kind of like narrative progression that it lends itself to. I don't care for Call of Cthulhu. I feel bad saying it because nobody doesn't like Call of Cthulhu, but I don't like Call of Cthulhu. I like all the other RPGs. Not Call of Cthulhu. Pretzel dough is rising. It is, but I feel so tempted to go and take a look at it. Maybe I'll peek very briefly just to make sure that everything is well in the world. Oh shit, yeah, she's rising. I was really worried because the yeast didn't bubble as much as I sort of expected it to, but it is getting there. We will have bread so shortly. How long? Does anyone remember the time code? Does anyone remember the time code that the bread was like kind of finished? How long has it been rising for? Not an hour, I don't think. It's definitely not been an hour yet. Slimy Alex. You're a massive reason I moved from my teenage bigotry and eventually accepted I was trans AF. Thank you for being so valid and wonderful. Love you. Oh, that's so sweet. That makes me very happy. I'm very happy that you were able to discover that about yourself as well. Have I played Wanderhome? Yes, I have. I love Wanderhome. I've played it a couple times. Actually, we've done some one-shots in Wanderhome for our podcast, Trials and Trebuchets. So if you want to literally listen to me playing Wanderhome, you can. But yeah, I really like Wanderhome. It's one of those ones where I like playing it, but perhaps even more than I like playing it, I like just reading the rulebook because it was written and designed so beautifully. Jay Dragon, who did the writing for it, always has like really interesting thoughts on RPGs. I'm a big fan of their work. I haven't played Sleepaway, but I've read the rules for their other game, Sleepaway, and I like that too. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not a big Call of Cthulhu head. But yeah, Wanderhome is like, it's a very specific game, so it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But if you're kind of into that some sort of like Red Wally vibe, highly recommend checking it out. It's, even if you never play it. Oh shit, Stormcrow's coming back. Okay. I think I know what you're talking about. I don't think Stormcrow is coming back, but the people who made Stormcrow, actually this is my experience. Sorry for niche Vancouver posting, y'all. But I was with my fiance walking downtown in Vancouver and we came across this sign that was like,
Vancouver pet psychic. And we were like, what the fuck is a pet psychic? So I'm like, what is this? What's going on? And they immediately say, oh, I bet it's a secret speakeasy. And I'm like, yeah, maybe it is, sure. So I look it up and I get to their website and it's like all of this weird, like, we are a science-based pet psychic program and we can do past life work with your pets and see what's going on with them. And I'm like, okay, what is going on? And my partner's like, no, it's a speakeasy. I know it's a speakeasy. It's so obvious. So I keep reading, and finally there's like hints on the website where I'm like, oh, you're right. This is secretly a cocktail bar. And so I look it up, and yeah, it is run by the people who used to do Stormcrow, which was like this like nerd-themed pub in Vancouver. And it is a tarot-themed cocktail bar called the Arcana Spirit Lounge. We were actually going to go tonight, but then didn't want to. I have a reservation, I think, sometime next month to go there. So they were completely right. It was a speakeasy. There's no pet psychic in Vancouver. It's just Stormcrow's new venture, tarot-themed place, Arcana Spirit Lounge. I can't speak to it because I have not been yet, but I will go. Let's see. Do I like class-based systems or skill-based systems? I think I like class-based systems. One that I really like is I really like systems where you can kind of have multiple classes in a sense. So I have this one, and I haven't gotten to play it, but I had a lot of fun reading the rules. Do I have it here? Do I have it here? Do I have it here? Glitter Hearts! Glitter Hearts! Glitter Hearts! Yes! So, Glitter Hearts is a system that I really like. It is Magical Girl inspired, and what I really like about Glitter Hearts is that you kind of have multiple classes in the sense that you actually have two playbooks. So Glitter Hearts is one where you sort of play as like magical girls, you know, heroes, that sort of thing. So it's really good. I have yet to actually play it, but I really like the rules and I really like the mechanics. So the fun thing about Glitter Hearts is that you have like a playbook or an identity as like your persona. So that's kind of like your alter ego, sort of who you are in the group. So for example, you could be the goth, or you could be the aloof or something like that. So you have special skills that you can lend to your team in the sense of like you as a person, but you also have a class for like your superhero kind of persona. So there's tons of different like ways that you can be a superhero that are tied to various different things. So for example, there's specific archetypes that you can be like the idol or something like that. Or you could be what you kind of do in terms of your tactics. So you could be the defender, or you could be the tactician, or you could have powers that are tied to different elements. So you could have fire powers, or you could have your element be metal, or light, or dark, or disease, or death. You could have your powers be tied to a specific emotion, and there's mechanics for that, like fear, hope, or joy. So there's so many different ways. Trust is one. So there's tons of different ways that you can like be a magical girl or be a superhero, but there's different, it's Glitter Hearts, the game is Glitter Hearts. So there's different classes for different aspects of your life. Sorry, I guess I kind of went on a bit of a tangent there. Is Glitter Hearts powered by the apocalypse? Yeah, it is. Yeah. I think one of my favorite games for like sort of utilizing Powered by the Apocalypse is probably Thirsty Sword Lesbians, which kind of has a memey name, but there's actually some really interesting mechanics in there. One moment. God damn it, I said I wasn't gonna do this, and I did just start talking again about the TTRPGs that I like. What did I say about autism? Okay, so Thirsty Sword Lesbians is actually really fun. And one of the things that I really like from here is a mechanic that they introduced called strings. And I really like strings because it is a very nice way to kind of mechanically, what's the right word here? Mechanically represent power of relationships. Strings, if I am remembering correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, average pretzel, I know. Strings is a system that was created for Thirsty Sword Lesbians and was later used in Monster Hearts. Or it could be the other way around, but I think it came from this and used Monster Hearts. Monster Hearts being a game by Avery Alder, who made The Quiet Year, and Monster Hearts is really fun in the sense that like it is about, you know, teenage life and relationship drama, whilst you're also a monster. So the monster stuff acts as obviously an allegory of teenage life and struggles in general. So if you're playing a ghoul, you can sort of talk about like with that teenage pull toward like death and invisibility. Being a vampire sort of represents your struggle with like empathy and like ignoring the will of others and things like that. So anyway, strings are such a cool mechanical thing where basically if you have some sort of emotional power over another person, you gain what is called a string on them. So this can mean tons of things. It could mean that they owe you something. It could mean that they are attracted to you. It could mean that they really, really hate you, and so they're thinking about you all of the time. Any of these would be an example of strings. So if someone has strings on you, or if you have strings on another person, you can then spend those to influence them in a variety of ways. Whether it is asking them to do something for you, if you are fighting with them, you could use a string to add more damage, with the idea being that things hurt more if they're personal. Like, you know, you can, you know, talk them down if they're in a bad spot. So for example, certain moves will let you gain strings on other people. So that I think that's just such a clever way to kind of mechanize relationships. And I like the way that it kind of represents like reciprocity, the way that it kind of represents like reciprocity in relationships as well. Because if you sort of see it as like, oh, it's just like a single check to get something from someone, I think that's okay. But I really like this kind of mechanical way of like representing that. I think it's very clever, and I also think there's just so much you can do with the system. So I love strings. I believe it was Thirsty Sword Lesbians that originally came up with strings. But yeah, great mechanic. This is a really good RPG. It has this kind of like meme name, but it really is very good. I really want to play more in it. Highly recommend. So big fan. Do I have any other games? Sorry, now I'm just thinking about fucking TTRPGs again. I'm a big TTRPG head, I think. Oh, Quest is really good too. I like Quest. Dialect I really want to play. I haven't had the chance to yet. That is a game where you like create a language, like a dying language from like a specific community, and you play the language kind of like evolving over time, and you sort of play like the threats to it and things like that. So I bought it and I really like it, but I haven't gotten to actually play it yet. There was one by J Dragon that is for 3 players where you play a Coven of Witches that I bought, that I have not yet had the chance to dig into, but I would really like to. I haven't played GURPS. I should, but I have not. It just hasn't interested me. I don't know. I don't really like and to be fair, I have not played it, so I cannot judge it. But I'm not really a big fan of any system that kind of claims to be universal or modded to everything, because, you know, and even I like 5e, but even 5e does it to some extent, and I guess I just think any system is always going to contain like genre expectations or expectations of what the narrative is, and I would rather a game just be upfront about what it believes or what it expects you to do, rather than sort of say that it is setting neutral. Does that make sense? Like, you know, D&D, the fact that most of your class abilities center around new ways to be able to fight, it contains implicitly within it the assumption that you are going to be doing a lot of fighting. Wanderhome does not have fighting mechanics, so it contains with it the implicit assumption that you are not going to fight. Neither one is bad, but they're not, you know, these games are not making, you know, neutral assumptions about what the game expects you to do, what kind of world you live in, that sort of thing. So that's kind of why the sort of concept behind GURPS is one that does instinctively put me off, but I also would definitely be willing to give it a chance. I have heard that a lot of people really like it. Pathfinder is another one that I also have not played. I find Pathfinder fans kind of annoying, but also D&D fans are also annoying, so that's not really a good reason not to play something. So I should also give Pathfinder a chance. I think if I did, I would probably really love it. But yeah, that's my other kind of big name RPG thoughts. I am so impatient to get this pretzel dough ready. I really want these pretzels. Have I thought about making tabletop content for the channel? Ooh, maybe. I do think that would be kind of fun. Are there any horror systems you enjoy? Things from the Flood is arguably horror-y, and I do like that. I like the horror concepts behind Sleepaway, but I haven't gotten the chance to play it yet. But I want to play more horror systems because I feel a bit limited. I don't dislike horror, but I'm not like a huge horror enjoyer. So horror enjoyer, but I want to get more into it. we tabletop chatting. It's true. This always just evolve into me tabletop chatting. This teapot loves to. Oh, you mentioned Shadowrun's concept and implementation. In your opinion, what elements make for a successful implementation? I actually have not played Shadowrun, but I want to. How many groups do you have running right now? Only one, actually. So Trials and Trebuchets is the D&D podcast that I'm in, but we're currently on hiatus just because, you know, life got really busy. We wanted to take some time. So we're on a break. Then there's my other group, which is 3 of us. So in D&D, we have our DM and then 2 players, but we also like to play like, so our like long-term campaign is 5e, but we also really enjoy playing one-shots in like non-D&D systems. I think the last one we did was Alice is Missing. So, you know, I actually only have one big like campaign running right now, but I'm actually very happy about that because I'm very, very, very into this campaign. And so I really like to dedicate a lot of my mental energy and thought processes to it. We're playing later today, which I'm so happy for. So I've been transcribing all of my notes from this campaign, and I'm a big fan. And I think right now, we've played about maybe 73 sessions of the sequel campaign. And I think for my note-taking, I'm at, okay, that could be more. I'm at 70,000 words for transcribing these notes. Oh, hang on, someone's being weird in the chat. I'm at about 70,000 words for transcribing these notes. So, I don't know. I think that if I was playing in another campaign, I wouldn't have as much time to commit to my main one. So I did my 70,000 notes. I've been doing like writing projects, trying to like summarize it for other friends. Yeah, I'm happy about that. Do I still write fan fiction? I do, but not as much as before, just because I've been really busy. But thoughts on in the air. Oh yeah, you've read one of Emily's Tumblr posts. Yeah. There's, if you are interested in that D&D campaign, there's piecemeal little bits of information that you can learn about it through following us online. It's very important to me, and not really to anyone who isn't in the game, but I'm fine with that. Am I a player or a DM? I have not done a lot of DMing actually. I've done a little bit, like one-shots here and there for friends and family. But I'm primarily more of a player. Let's see. Oh, it's midnight for some people. Happy New Year, 2024. That's so exciting. I don't know what I'm gonna do for the year except for work and, you know, get married. But I don't really have any other big exciting plans. But that's okay. Oh yeah, if you're in the UK now, you're in the future. We are in the very last time zone to face the new year because I'm in Vancouver, so I don't have as much, I feel like I don't have as much New Year waiting time. Let's see, yeah, that's exciting. Everyone's in very different timelines, so that's gonna be very fun. Has it been an hour yet? I feel like it must have been an hour so far. I'm so eager to take this bread out of the rise so that we can see the dough and kind of finally get started on. Let me see if there's anything that I need to do to actually like prepare for this pretzel dough, because I did not read the recipe in advance, and if you were kind of watching at the beginning of the stream, you'll know that I was also, you know, not reading the recipe. So let me take a look and see if I need to do anything. We're gonna be preheating the oven, yes. Lining a baking tray, etc. This I already know. All right, I got my baking tray over there. Okay, we're gonna be cutting the dough into sections. This is something that I believe I can do, even me. We're going to shape them into balls. We're gonna preheat the oven. Then we're gonna do our little baking soda pot. We're gonna drop them into boiling water for 20 to 30 seconds. We're going to lift them out of the water, let the excess water drip off, and place them onto a prepared baking sheet or close together in the baking pan. We're gonna score them, we're gonna brush them with butter, we're gonna bake them for 22 to 26 minutes, and then holy shit, we're gonna have fucking, why am I swearing so much? We're gonna have pretzel rolls. I'm very excited. They're gonna be buns for some veggie burgers that I'm gonna be making, so that's gonna be incredibly exciting, I think. Okay, how have people been? I have 22 minutes left on the bread. 22 minutes? That is a million years. I can't take 22 minutes. That's horrible. I can't handle that. Here's my thing. I've been making those 48-hour chocolate chip cookies. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that, where you have to make your own toffee, you have to make your own brown butter, and then once you've made your dough, you have to just let it wait for 48 hours. And if I feel like if I'm being patient with that, I have earned not being patient with this. So I've had all of my baking related patience depleted for the week, you know, because of these cookies. Did you lose like 50 pounds? Yeah, I did. Are they vegan? Well, the burgers themselves are vegan, so the patties are vegan, but I am using butter in the bread, so the pretzels would not be vegan. But I think you could probably just use oil instead of butter if you wanted them to be like totally plant-based. The veggie burgers are, because they're from like a cookbook that is all like all vegan. I'm not myself, but we like cook a lot of food that is vegan, so you know, it doesn't really bother me or anything. Oh, New Year's cinnamon rolls. Okay, that actually sounds so good. I would really like that. Are there any upcoming pieces of televised or animated media that you're interested in? I started watching the first episode yesterday of a show called Carol and the End of the World, and I can't speak yet to kind of the quality of it because I only have seen that one episode, but it's a very intriguing premise, so I am very interested in watching more. Basically, the idea behind it is that there is a like meteor that is coming to the Earth in 7 months. It is like massive, it's like the size of the planet, and there isn't, you know, they've tried, there isn't really anything that they can do about it. So people know that, oh shit, the Dungeon Meshi anime is coming. I wanna read more of the manga for that. But yeah, so people know that the meteor is coming and that it can't be prevented. So people know that there's gonna be like 7 months until the world ends. And so, you know, people are quitting their jobs, they're proposing to each other, they're going on trips. And so it follows this woman named Carol who is like middle-aged, she's depressed, and she doesn't really have anything that she has wanted to do or to live for. And so she ends up getting this like office job and ends up kind of finding fulfillment through like having something to do. And I've only seen the first episode, so I can't speak to how it kind of ends up or the quality of it, but it's a really intriguing premise. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing more of that. So Carol and the End of the World is kind of my big one right now. I also still want to finish Revolutionary Girl Utena because I've really liked what I've seen, so I want to keep watching more of it. And let's see, what else? I'm watching that Percy Jackson show right now. Am I on TikTok? No, I'm not. I'm not a big TikTok fan, so I've been avoiding it. But I might make short form videos at some point on this channel, maybe, but I haven't decided yet. But I think that could be kind of fun. Let's see, have I been watching anything else? I don't think so. I started watching that new One Piece show and I never finished it, but it's not because I didn't like it, I just kind of got busy, so I would still be happy to finish that at some point. I was quite impressed with what they did. I watched that Jury Duty show, that was pretty good. I really liked the guy, and it made me really wish, I know that there's a commentary track, but I would have really liked to have like a whole behind the scenes show about the making of it, because the final episode, if you guys don't know, Jury Duty is one of those like Joe Schmo style shows where everyone is an actor except for one guy, and he doesn't know that the people around him are actors, and you know, like wacky situations unfurl. And so the last episode, after the reveal happens, we get to see a whole bunch of stuff surrounding like how it was made, and all of the various behind the scenes practices that had to go on so that this guy wouldn't catch flies. And it made me really curious to have like a whole behind the scenes version. It's a shame that there wasn't. What do I think of narrative games like The Quiet Year or Microscope? I don't know anything about Microscope. I've never heard of it, so that's something to look into, but I love The Quiet Year. I have the physical version, and I didn't even know that there was a physical version. And then I happened upon it in a game store, and I thought, holy shit, we have to buy it. I think Avery Alder, who created that game, is actually maybe local to Vancouver, unless I'm misremembering that. Do I have it? Where is it? It's somewhere. I'm not gonna dig for it. But the physical version of The Quiet Year comes with these really cool like bone token thingies to represent contempt. And it's so cool. I know that The Quiet Year is primarily a game that is designed to just like be played on its own. You know, you build a community and then, you know, it's been a year. And I don't want to like discount the purpose that it's designed for, because I know that some fans of The Quiet Year get maybe a little bit not happy with people saying that they do this, but we did use The Quiet Year to build our setting for our 5e game. And personally, I am incredibly happy that we did, because it allowed for so many like interesting factions that could be expanded upon, and so many like really cool, unexpected like cultural developments. So I think that The Quiet Year is a game that you can just play to play it, but I also do think that although it is not the original intent, it's a very cool a setting building game as well. So yeah, if you want to build a setting, or if you just like want to play it, highly recommend The Quiet Year by Avery Alder. It's great. Oh yeah, exactly, factions. Oh, I read a really interesting blog post about contempt in The Quiet Year, because contempt is a mechanism, is a mechanic that often gets ignored, I think, when people play, or it kind of falls to the wayside very quickly. So I read this blog post, it was like sort of like in defense of contempt, or why it is such an important thing for The Quiet Year and in the building of organic communities. And what it basically said is, without contempt, if you play the game, you're not building a community, you're building a state, which I thought was a really interesting way of putting that. God, I wish I remember the name of it. It was sent to me by, if any of you follow, if any of you are in the like Tumblr sphere, Tattletale with an X, she sent me the post, and I think if you Google like in defense of contempt The Quiet Year, you'll find it. I had also been one of those people who was not that interested in contempt as a game mechanic, but reading that post, I was like, oh, there's a lot of really interesting stuff here that I hadn't considered. It was really interesting reading, so I highly recommend it. It kind of talks a little bit about other TTRPGs that are very clearly inspired by The Quiet Year, but that sort of maybe don't follow the spirit of it very well, or that are kind of too focused on feelings of like co's to really kind of play into that kind of faction discontentment. And I thought that there was some interesting stuff sort of being said about that. So yeah, if you're interested in The Quiet Year but you don't really play with contempt, I would at least read the blog post, because I thought it was a really interesting perspective on what the purpose that it serves in the game is. Okay, it's been 90 minutes. I'm taking this this dough out of the riser. What am I saying? I'm done waiting. I'm incredibly impatient. Let's get preheating our oven, and let's get shaping these balls, because I'm extremely excited for it. Okay, if you could make a TTRPG on any piece of media or vibe or idea, what would it be? I've had this idea in my head for so long, and I don't know what it would look like, but I really want an Osmosis Jones style RPG where you play like parts of a body trying to like heal a greater whole. I don't know what it would look like mechanically yet, but I just really like the I like that as a concept. Favorite Garfunkel and Oates song? Ooh. I don't think it's their best song, but Pregnant Women Are Smug always gets me. It always tickles me for some reason. Okay, let's do some fucking bread. Ooh, any opinions on Star Kid musicals? I'm a fan of Star Kid, but I haven't really been following any of their like more recent stuff. I was a big fan during their sort of era of like making, you know, a Harry Potter musical and Twisted and things like that. And then I didn't really like that guy who didn't like musicals. I wasn't really a big fan of it. And so I didn't really watch any of their later stuff. So I haven't been really caught up with them. Firebringer was the last show of theirs that I saw and liked. But to be fair, I really liked that. Yeah, I know a lot of people were into that show, but I thought the story was kind of... I didn't find the songs very memorable. I found that the story was kind of paper thin. I felt like it really relied on, like, coasting on its premise a little bit of like, yes, I'm LGBTQ, like the sort of, you know, the joke being, oh, you don't like musicals and you're in a musical. It felt like it was more interested in the premise than like doing anything interesting with the premise.
One thing is that their production value was really good. They really upped it, and I thought that that was quite nice to see, but the show itself just didn't resonate with me. But to be fair, I only watched it once. If I gave it another chance, then I think my opinions might be very different. Look how much she rose! Oh, I am so relieved, because I was so scared that the yeast was completely dead, because whenever I do something like this, I'm always scared that the yeast is completely dead. Okay, we're gonna take this out and we're gonna separate it. I'm very relieved to hear this. And it's so supple, I love it, look at this. Oh, and it's got these like yeasty like striation things. Oh, I feel so happy. Okay, let's separate it into our little guys. And let's make some fucking pretzel buns. Look at her, yes, iconic. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, good to go. We're gonna put her on our surface. I also need a pot of water. Make it for bread or dilute it for beer. I'm not a beer head, so that's an easy one for me personally. Oh, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is a great show. Let's see here. Okay. We've got our bread pot, which is right here. Our bread pot? What am I saying? It's our water pot for water so that we can do our little baking soda bath. Let's heat her up. Yeah, I saw the first episode or two of Gallivant. I thought it was pretty good, but not like enough to really want to continue with it. I liked it fine. Let's see. All right, perfect. Let's heat her up. Okay, water is getting hot. Okay, good. What are my thoughts on the Garfield movie? I did not see it, but I don't really care for Chris Pratt, to be honest, so I didn't watch it. Yeah, I liked Gallivant, but I didn't like it enough to finish the season, so. But I know that people were very disappointed about it being canceled, which, you know, is fair, because so many good shows get so needlessly canceled, so I can absolutely sympathize there. Yes, if it is the new year for you, it's 420 here for me, so, you know, blaze it. But if it's New Year's for you, happy 2024. I am glad that you're celebrating it, watching me make bread. With your love of musicals, do you also love rock operas and concept albums? Do you have a favorite? Ooh, I like concept albums. There's this one concept album that fucking had a chokehold on me when I was like 11 that I always think about. It had, all of these different people from like different indie bands. It was called Razzia's Shadow, and it was by Forgive Durden, I think was the name. And it had Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco, and it had a bunch of other people, and it just, I loved it so much. And it's probably not very good, but it's still the thing that comes to my mind when I think of concept albums. I also, I was also a big fan of Airplane Over the Sea. Oh, I really like that album. I was a big fan of Evelyn, which was a concept album by Amanda Palmer, which is one where you're sort of like, oh, in retrospect, I don't know if I love this premise. I feel a little bit uncomfortable about this premise. But at the time, as an edgy teen, I was a big fan, and I do still listen to some of the songs, even though I don't know quite how I feel about some of that stuff anymore, which is kind of my feeling on a lot of the stuff that Amanda Palmer produces, to be fair. Let me grab a baking sheet, because pretty soon we're going to be doing stuff with this bread. And let's also get some parchment paper to line it. I didn't see Wonka, so I have not yet let it wonk my world, but I'm sure it will wonk it very profoundly quite soon. I should do a Monster of the Week actual play podcast. I would love to play Monster of the Week. It's a system that I think is great. Sorry for the noise. I'm a big fan of that system, but I haven't actually gotten the chance to play it yet. I feel like that's my experience with a lot of TTRPGs. Like, love this TTRPG. Can't wait to actually play it. Oh, picks for top 2023 video essays. Ooh, Plagiarism in YouTube was really good. Let's see here. Lindsay Ellis's new video on Yoko Ono and the Beatles is really excellent. The way that she kind of ties the like misogynistic harassment that Yoko has received to kind of the treatment of these like famous women who are adjacent to more famous men in general, I think was really masterful. What did I watch this year? Oh, Folding Ideas, of course, did that really excellent one on the GameStop stuff. I thought that was a really strong video. What did I watch this year? I feel like I have such a, yeah, it's new. It's on her Nebula page. She's been doing videos now that are just for Nebula, and they've been really, really good. So definitely recommend checking her new video out. Okay, I'm just shaping these into nice little, no, I'm not drunk. I just talk like this. I did purchase some sparkling wine for tonight, but I have not yet gotten the chance to enjoy it. Okay, I'm gonna shape these dough balls. I feel like are wildly inconsistently sized, so I'm gonna weigh them and make sure that they're roughly consistent, and then we're gonna do the like water bath. Oh, do I talk to SAW people? Not everyone, but yeah, I'm friendly with most people, I think. There's people I haven't really gotten the chance to talk to, but for the most part, you know. Like, Abby Thorne, Philosophy Tube, is someone I've, like, exchanged friendly words with, but I don't know her very well. I like the stuff she makes, but we just, like, don't really talk. But, you know, I feel like I talk to a moderate number of people. Okay, I'm just gonna weigh these and make sure that they are consistent so that when they go in the oven, I'm not, like, completely off. Okay, our first one is 115 grams. Our second one is 128 grams, so there's a little bit of inconsistency here. Our second one is 130 grams, so let's take a little bit off of this guy and a little bit off of this guy. I know that you are loving hearing me just like say numbers. Let's do that. That brings that one up to 129, which feels a little bit more reasonable. We got this one. This one is 89? Really? Damn, okay, this is way smaller than I thought. I'm happy to hear that, because now I know. This one is 104. This one's 106, so this batch is way bigger than this batch. That's great to know, because now we can kind of correct that a little bit. Please start a weighing dough podcast. I feel like there are people who would listen to that, because I feel like some people just need to listen to a voice saying words. So if my version of that can be weighing dough, then sure, why not? Oh, you're right, it is bread tube. God damn it, that's kind of funny. It is bread tube. Shit, you're right. All right, now we got this one at 134. This one is still much too light at 106. This one is 99 now. So this one needs, this is complicated stuff, making sure that these are all the right size and generally a consistent shape. You would not know by looking. I think it's a very good idea to like weigh the stuff that you're making, because otherwise I would not know if I was getting consistently sized pretzel buns. This one is like 137, so we're gonna take a lot off of this. What is bread tube? Bread tube is nothing. Bread tube is a term that people used back in like 2019 to kind of refer to like the general thrust of like left-leaning video essayists. So back in like 2019, that typically meant like ContraPoints, H-Bomber Guy, Philosophy Tube, Lindsay Ellis, with like kind of some provisions for other people, but it's kind of a term that has sort of fallen to the wayside, I think, especially as people have sort of started to realize that like not all of those people like talk and know each other. I don't know. It to me sort of feels more like a term that describes an audience than a term that describes a type of creator. Like, I don't know. It is creators who share a common audience more than it is creators who share a common ethos. Let's see. They smell really nice. Yeah, it comes from Kropotkin's Conquest of Bread, who was, I believe, like an anarchist writer, which is funny because not all of those people are anarchists. A lot of those creators might be, I mean, even liberals, for example. It's very dependent, which is another reason why kind of like its use as an umbrella term has sort of started to feel to me a little bit silly, but that's okay. Do you know ContraPoints? I've talked to her a couple times, but I don't like know her, but I've like run into her. She's always been perfectly nice. I don't feel like I'm eloquent off the fly, Heather. I feel like I'm just saying shit. I feel like I'm just saying words as I wait for this bread to... Okay, these are reasonably consistent weights. Opinions on liberals. I'm not one. I consider myself further left than that, but I don't know. I don't agree with a lot of that like sort of philosophical stuff, you know. I'm anti-capitalist, but I don't know. I don't really feel like performing. I'm not a fan of when people are like liberals get the wall too, and it's sort of, I don't know, it just feels very performative and very I'm not really fond of that. So, I don't know. I don't agree with that approach, but I also feel like if someone I can talk to them, you know what I mean? Like, I've changed my mind. Other people can change their minds. Other people can change my minds. I don't know. I'm just saying words. Okay, what are we at? Okay, these are all slightly different, but they're also relatively consistent weights. What am I preparing the bread making stream? I think it would have been a little bit lonely to do this by myself. My fiance's at work, so it's the weekend for me, and so let's see. Okay, would I win in a true crime baking show against Joel McHale? Oh my god, I would demolish him. Are you kidding? I think anyone would demolish Joel McHale at one of these. Okay, they are formed. We've got our little pretzel buns. I hope that they do expand for some of this because they're a little bit too small for the actual burger patties, which I have 2 of them right here, and these are going to be, I'll refrigerate these because we're not going to be making them yet. These are going to make a very tasty little dinner, I think. And then I got some sparkling to celebrate the New Year's. Okay, let's see here. Next step. Good, the water is almost completely heated up. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna bring some baking soda to a boil in a large pot. A half cup of baking soda? What? Okay, sure, all right. I think that's probably just gonna be all of this baking soda. What? I didn't realize that it needed so much. Yeah, okay, sure. All right. All right, let's do it. Let's make a very basic solution. I'm gonna take the top off of this thing because I feel like, yeah, that's what makes it dangerous. Yeah, well, I've heard that some people will soak, is it bagels or pretzels that can also be soaked in lye? I'm not gonna soak it in lye because I don't trust myself, but I think that's what Alton Brown recommends. I think that he's the one who recommends using lye for all of this. How many cups do I have? Okay, I have 7 cups of water here, and it calls for a ratio of a half cup of baking soda to 9 cups of water. So I think I should probably be closer to like maybe a third of a cup probably for that. Okay, it's bagels that people soak in lye. I've never made bagels before, but I would like to. Usually I just buy them, but I would like to make them. Okay, let's get this guy open. It doesn't want to open, unfortunately. There we go. Okay, yeah, I don't want to get any chemical burns, definitely. Yeah, they're soaked in a super basic solution. If you had to kill Matt Mercer, how would you do it? I have no beef with Matt Mercer. He seems like a perfectly nice guy. I don't know. I would tell him that Gunslinger isn't a very good class mechanically, and that would probably do it. I'm so skibbity. I'm so Phantom Tax. I don't want to hear anything about my yacht. What's the best type of pie? Ooh, I think cherry pie is my favorite. I don't know if I would say it's the best because I don't really know how one could measure what the best is, but I'm a big cherry pie enjoyer personally. Okay, we got our 1/4 cup of baking soda here. If Matt Mercer were to kill me, ooh, she's fizzing. She's fucking fizzing, all right. Okay, let's do a little bit more. All right, she's in here. I also agree about pie over cake. I used to be more cake pilled. I think I used to be more of a cake chad, but I love a good pie crust. I feel like I've changed my ways on that. Okay. We've got our baking soda and water solution. So now I'm gonna get some sort of slotted spoon or something like that. Oh, I know what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use my little spider thingy. I'm gonna use this guy. That way I can easily fish it out without getting it wet. Let me see, can I move the camera such that you can see what I'm doing? I think so, not quite. Oh, because of the countertop. Come on. What are we doing? I'm trying to, because it's my phone, right? It's literally just my phone that I'm using here. Probably not. Okay, I'm just gonna have to be descriptive with what we're doing. Okay. It's now boiling, so they're gonna be in for 20 to 30 seconds. So I might need your guys' help to help me keep my timer accurate. I can probably put 1 or 2 in at once. Okay, here's our first pretzel roll, or what's going to be a pretzel roll. We're gonna lift the pretzel out of the water and let some excess water to drip off, then we're gonna score it. So we're gonna start over here. Oh, I think it's gonna end great! I don't see a problem. I think it's gonna be awesome. Okay, let's go in. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That is our first bread. And oh, she's already looking so puffy. She's looking beautiful. I know my orientation's locked. Okay. That is our first little bun. So we're gonna put her here and let her rest. And let's score her with my knife. Yeah, this would be easier to do if I wasn't holding the camera. I'll worry about scoring later. Next up, she goes in. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I really am just saying numbers at you guys. Why is anyone watching this? All right. Oh, you gotta flip them? All right, I'm gonna flip them a little bit more. Okay, next batch is gonna be a little bit flippier. Okay, she goes right here. We let her rest. Okay, we're gonna flip the next one, I think a little bit more aggressively. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, there we go. Shake off some excess moisture, put her in. I do like the vibe of that a little bit better. Okay, I have to set this down, I think, a little bit, just because I think that's gonna be safer. We have 3 more to go. I know, it's quality counting content. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, flip it, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, this is good. Okay, I'm getting bored of counting to the same number. Does anyone know any songs or quotes or statements that last approximately 20 seconds that we can do instead? Preschool prepared me for this. I knew I would use it. Your top is serving late season Buffy fashion. I also thought about Buffy. I think that's one of the reasons why I got this shirt, was because it sort of reminded me of that like Y2K kind of fashion, which I guess is sort of in now anyway. Chorus of Staying Alive. Staying Alive I just associate with BBC Sherlock, unfortunately. First 4 lines of All Stars is 20 seconds. All right, let's do it. Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kinda dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. All right, perfect. I think that was probably 20 seconds. We have 1 more to go. Oops, I did it again. Chorus is about 20. Perfect, let's do it. How does that one go again? I think I know the words, but okay, we got 1 more pretzel to go. Then we're going to, someone said acoustics. I'll have you know, my assessment is next month. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. Okay, last one. Final pretzel bun, let's go. Oops, I did it again. I played with your heart, got lost in the game. Oh baby, baby, oops, you think I'm in love, that I'm sent from above. I'm not that innocent. Okay. Oh, this one puffed up actually a little bit. She looks so beautiful. You can't see, she looks so beautiful. It's my daughter. It's my beautiful daughter. Miss Pretzel. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Now I think we're gonna brush them, loud motorcycles outside, we're gonna brush them with some melted butter. Then they're gonna go in for 22 to 26 minutes until they're gonna be a deep golden brown on all sides. Okay. So let's melt a little bit of butter. And then it's gonna be brushing time. Oh no, is the video breaking? Oh, I think I know what happened. I got a little, the 20% battery notification, so I had to unpause it. Oh yeah, it's good now. Okay, good. I'm happy to hear it. That does mean that I'm low on battery, so I should be careful about that, but okay, I'm gonna melt maybe this much butter. We're gonna brush it onto our breads, and then we're gonna live a beautiful life. If you put jam on a pretzel bun, is it a sandwich? Yes, absolutely. I think anything that you want to be a sandwich could be a sandwich. All right. Okie dokie, let's melt her. Why couldn't the man start his car? I don't know. What's the joke for that? Okay, because his car is a giant fish. What the fuck? So true. Where did I put my tea? One moment, I apologize. I was out of it, that's why. Okay. Is she melted? Let's find out. Ooh, she is, and also there's more than I thought, and I'm a little bit nervous to touch that. Because it looks like that. Let's be very gentle. I'm scared. Let's actually give it like a second to cool maybe, or yeah, I'm gonna give that actually a second to cool. But these are what the breads look like right now, which is very exciting. So I'm gonna give them, I always have trouble scoring bread because I feel like maybe my knife isn't sharp enough because it doesn't want to really like go in. It kind of just wants to like do that. One sec. Here, let me try to score it a little bit more like aggressively so that we can have an iconic bread score. Oh yeah, I think I have to like just dig in a little bit more deeply. I feel like that's probably the key to that. Okay, we're digging in with our knife. Oh, you guys can't see me, that's not fun. One moment. There we go. You're digging in with your knife, so that's nice, and we're digging in with our knife. Oh, I feel like I was using the tip before and I have to use like the bottom of the blade. I think that's probably the key there. And now I'm just gonna wash my hands because you guys were warning me about touching the baking soda solution, and I trust you with my life, all of you. So let me just give that a little rinse. Then we're gonna put a little bit of butter on these. And then we're gonna bake them. It's gonna be so exciting. Okay, where's my brush? I have a brush. I got a brush for Christmas for stuff, but it was a big one. And I'm gonna use my little mini brush right here. Oh no, don't wash your hands. Actually, that's incorrect. I'm such a gluten-pilled bread cell. So true. Let's see here. Bread cells seething over gluten-pilled pretzel chads. There we go. Okay. We have our wonderful looking butter. We're gonna lightly brush them with melted butter, and then we're gonna sprinkle them with some sea salt. Let's do it. This is way too much butter. It said 6 tablespoons in the recipe, but I also think that's ridiculous. I'm just gonna brush them, and we're gonna brush them. And we're gonna brush them. Yeah, what I need to be doing is I need to start being like one of those like YouTube short style creators that just tell you an unrelated story while they like bake food at you. I think that's gonna be my new like channel direction. Sonic for Real Justice is a Tumblr controversy that really shaped a lot of how people perceive these blogs. Back in like the era of like 2013, 2015, there was an era of like anti-SJW blogs where people often started adopting personas inspired by various fictional characters. So you would have things like Disney Princesses for Real Justice, which was partly a parody of Social Justice Wario, a blog that was sort of supposed to be already a parody of Social Justice Warrior. So Social Justice Wario responded in character as Wario to various social justice style asks. Then we got Real Justice Waluigi, which was like an anti-SJW version of it. And after Real Justice Waluigi, we had an entire genre of like anti-SJW roleplay blogs. So when Sonic for Real Justice came on the scene, it was directly like a parody and response to a lot of that already existing like anti-SJW Tumblr genre. So for example, when there was mod drama between those blogs, it was a reference to mod drama on similar style blogs. So what we had was one mod who removed another mod from the blog and was then criticized for it, and sort of somebody got banned. There was this like soap opera style drama for Sonic for Real Justice, and so even non-social justice oriented creators ended up following this with a lot of closeness and became very intrigued in this concept. Now, as it turns out, Sonic for Real Justice was not real anti-SJW drama, it was a parody from the start, but that hasn't stopped it from being a foundational aspect of Tumblr history and something that people talk about years after the fact. So I guess you could say that the trolls in many ways succeeded at their goals and created a memorable story that became a part of Tumblr lore. See, this is such an interesting story. I used to have people constantly ask me to be like, oh, do a Sonic for Real Justice video, do a Sonic for Real Justice video. The real story is so fucking boring. Like, no, some people made a parody blog. That's not interesting. I have nothing to say about that. But, you know, it works for baking, I guess. Do I know any Spanish? No, not really. I took a Spanish class in high school, but it was just one, and I don't remember very much of it. I speak English, and I speak French, and I speak okay German and okay Japanese, and I'm trying to learn Mandarin right now, but I'm I'm like in the really, really early stages of it. Like, I know how to say like wushu, and that's kind of it. So, no, I don't really speak any Spanish, but I really do like learning languages, so I want to learn more. Okay, so 4:46. 22 to 26 minutes, these guys are going to be baked. We have way too much butter here, but, you know, we're going to let it solidify, and then I'll put it back. Who cares? Okay. They're going to go in. If you guys don't have UV gloves, you're missing out. This is not sponsored, because imagine anyone sponsoring these live streams, but it's like an oven mitt, but it's an oven glove instead. And the only company I know that makes these are an UV glove. It's some kind of like infomercial product that I think that my dad bought for my mom for Christmas as a joke. And then we started using the UV gloves and fucking loved them. And so, you know, we bought them as a joke, but now they've become like a household staple. So I remember I went to a store once because I didn't have an UV glove when I moved to Vancouver, and I was like, do you guys have oven gloves? And the guy was like, yeah, the oven mitts are right over there. And I was like, not an oven mitt, an oven glove. Do you guys have gloves for the oven? And he looked at me like I was messing with him. I'm not. Oven gloves. You should get them. They feel so much nicer. Okay. Pretzels go in. 22 to 26 minutes. Let me set the timer for 23 minutes. Okay. Oh, they're so close to being ready now. I'm very excited. Oh, I don't know what Girl Gloves are. Okay. I'm gonna turn the kettle on as well and make a little bit of tea, and I think that's going to be especially nice, really, too, because I feel like when people are always asking me, oh, why do you drink tea in your videos? Is it like a branding gimmick? And it's like, un momento. Ba, ba, ba. And it's like, yeah, to some extent, is it a branding gimmick? Yeah. Like, when I started making videos, I didn't have a distinctive thing. I was 19, I was like, I like to drink tea, I'll make it my thing. So yeah, it kind of did start as a branding gimmick, yes. But also, one, I just fucking love to drink tea. Two, if I'm talking for so long, I get so fucking thirsty, my throat gets so dry, I can't talk without tea. And three, I talk so aggressively with my hands that if I don't have something to hold, it is unbearable. Already, it is unbearable with this hand. So it's an extremely useful thing to have. I love the tea. All right, kettle's gonna heat up, and I'm gonna have some tea to drink. Sarah, on peut entendre un peu de ton français. Tu peux, mais j'ai étudié le français en école et ça fait peut-être 9 années, peut-être plus, alors c'est
c'est maintenant très terrible et mon accent c'est un peu québécois, alors les Français le détestent, so I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, let's let some tea cook. Now it says that there's 21 minutes left on the pretzel timer, which is absurdly exciting. It says we're gonna remove these from the oven and we're gonna serve them warm. Oh, I can't wait to see them. Okay, also, I should probably be plugging my phone in because I did get that 20% battery announcement earlier, and I am like slightly worried about that. Okay, let's see here. Awesome. Do I watch Attack on Titan? I watched the first season when I was in high school, but I didn't watch past that just because, you know, it's Attack on Titan. Maybe I should, but I also, the things that I know about it make me less inclined to really give it a ton of a chance, if we're being perfectly honest with one another. Okay. I'm just so excited for these pretzels. Thank you all for staying with me and seeing me through in this kind of pretzel journey that makes me extremely happy. And I'm so scared that they're not going to turn out, but we can hope in our hearts. And really, isn't that all we can really wish for any of us? Let me find somewhere to set this so that I'm not holding on to it uncomfortably close to the camera. I don't think any of you want that. Let's put her. Of course, the thing is now I have the charger there in the bottom, so that makes it a little bit more difficult to do. So I'll hold her so gently and so sweetly for a minute. Controversial opinion: the pretzel journey has been more enjoyable than Lord of the Rings. Yeah, but wait until you watch the director's cut. When I kicked the stove, I actually broke my toe. How is your German? Mein Deutsch ist sehr schlecht. Mein Vater kommt aus Österreich, so ich spreche ein bisschen, aber nicht sehr gut. But, you know, I'm decent, I guess. Like, I can understand more than I can speak. But also, it's like Austrian German, so there's a lot of words that I pronounce in an Austrian way that I didn't know were like specifically the Austrian way to pronounce it. Like Ohrketzen, for example, is not how like the German people say it. And so if I speak German around Germans, they make fun of me. Can you understand Quebecois? Yeah, I think I can understand Quebec French better than France French because most of my teachers in school spoke more of like a Quebecy French. So I remember watching some like shows in French, like I watched Lupin, and so I was like, I need subtitles. I suddenly can barely understand this. Is my French like way worse than I thought? Which, to be fair, some of that comes from the fact that I learned like classroom French and they use a lot of slang in actual French shows. But then I watch like Quebecois stuff or I listen to people from Quebec speak and I'm like, oh no, I can understand this perfectly. It's just that it's not the type of French that I really grew up hearing. So yeah, have you read I'm Glad My Mom Died? No, but I have it. I'm like, I can literally see my copy of it across the room right now. We're in Austria. Oh, well, I have Austrian citizenship, but I wasn't born in Austria. My dad was born in Austria and he grew up there, so I have citizenship because of my dad, but he is from like Upper Austria, so like the Linz area. So I've been there, you know, several times. You know, I like Linz fine, but oh, no worries. It's all good. But no, I do have citizenship, so I am like an Austrian. I am like legally Austrian, so that's probably why, you know, it's a reasonable thing to ask. Yeah, yeah, Phineas. Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's very nice with my dashcam video. How many languages do I speak? Well, I don't know. I guess it depends how you define speak. I can make myself understood in like 4 or 5, but I'm not very good at very many. Like I can hold a conversation in French, I can hold a conversation in German, I can hold a conversation in Japanese. I can't hold a conversation in Mandarin yet. I can just do like very basic, you know, introductions. Hello, I am from Canada. I speak English. I do not speak Mandarin. Like that I can do, but not a ton else. I like to eat cookies, but I'm still learning there. I would like to learn Arabic. That's another language that it would be really nice to learn, but I started on Duolingo and I had a little bit of difficulty with the writing system and I didn't have really very much time at that point, and so I didn't really follow it more, but at some point that's a language I would like to learn. That just feels like also like just a language that it's good to know. I don't know, just in the world. I just feel like knowing more languages kind of opens you up a little bit more, so I want to learn more, but you know.
I feel like most of the languages that I can speak like okay, I can speak okay because I was lucky to speak them as a child. How many of your video essays are written by Emily? So none of them are entirely written by Emily, because what we do when we write a video together is we'll tackle different sections of a video. But in terms of videos that are co-written with Emily, this year, what videos did I do this year? Bad Cinderella was written with Emily, and also the Buffy video was written with Emily. The one on Replica was written entirely by me. And did I do one more this year, or did I just do 3? Did I do another video? There was Bad Cinderella, Buffy, and Replica. Was there? Oh, queerbaiting. I think queerbaiting was also written entirely by me. So 2 of my videos this year were written with Emily, and 2 were written by myself. Emily, for the Bad Cinderella video, did some stuff. She did a lot of the like plot recap stuff. Emily is funnier than me, so oftentimes sort of the parts that rely more on humor, I will ask her to write. And then for the Buffy video, she also did some of the tonal stuff, and she did some of the stuff on Spike and Buffy. And then for me, I did the sections for the Bad Cinderella video. I did the section kind of talking about like YA musicals as a genre and as a medium. And I also did some of the like extra stuff about like the adaptation. And then for the Buffy video, I did a lot of the stuff about like Willow's arc and some of the like gender stuff, and then the like concluding stuff. Yeah. Sorry, that might have answered your question in a little bit more detail than you needed, but I gave my take on James Somerton earlier in the stream, actually. Sort of that sense of like, I don't want to rehash everything that I said earlier, but my thinking is, I'm not a fan of James Somerton. I think that he did a lot of harm to a lot of people, and I'm glad that he is no longer in a position to do that anymore. I do think that we should focus less on one individual and more on like the systems that could create a James Somerton, because otherwise I think we're probably gonna get more James Somertons. But I talk more about my feelings on that earlier on in the stream. How much longer do we have on the pretzels? We have 19 minutes on the pretzels? 19 minutes? Is Emily not writing some just because lack of interest, or is it more to do with her being busy? It's like a mix. Sometimes I just make videos that I think would be more cohesive if one person wrote them. Like my saga with my video on Replica, where I had my own replica, was something that I was just doing on my own. I was like spending my own time with Iago. So Emily could have done writing on that, but like so much of it was about my own personal thoughts and feelings that I wouldn't want to basically be like telling her what to say. I think that would be a little bit odd. Same with the queerbaiting video. Like I'm sure that she would have had useful insights to offer, but it's less one with like defined sections and more one where the argument kind of like leads into the other. So I think it was just a feeling of like, Emily's probably very busy, and I just think that it would flow better if it was like my thoughts from start to finish. Whereas with something like Buffy, I think that, for example, she did a lot of the stuff about like the TV landscape at the time and the network change. That's more her area of expertise, and it is more of like a defined category where multiple people can write something a little bit more easily. So yeah, it's sort of just context dependent. If I'm making a video that is very personal, or that I think really needs to have like one consistent voice throughout, I'm more likely to do it by myself. If it's something that, maybe requires specialized knowledge that I don't have, or something that I know is going to be a bigger undertaking, something like that, I would typically get Emily to do it. Hopefully that answers your question. I talked about video games a little bit earlier. I've been doing Slay the Spire a lot lately. Do I have any pets? No, I wish. I really would like a cat, but there's just not enough space in the apartment for one, sadly. Though that would be so nice. Oh, it wasn't 19 minutes, it's 12 minutes. And they're actually starting to smell really good. So I'm very relieved about that. Also, the water is ready for tea, so that is extra good. I fear I'll have to leave you for like 1 second just because the charging cable is on. I'm just going to pour the tea and then I'm going to return. Gosh, they're really smelling nice. I'm so happy about that. Okay. Pouring the tea now. Ba, 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 ba. Also, I think probably my fiance is going to come home soon, so that'll be nice for getting to enjoy everything. Okay. Am I gonna use the pretzel water for tea? No, because of the baking soda. Does Kimber Fisher have any pets? And if not, could she get one? What would she want? Kimber Fisher does not have any pets, but Whitney, who is Emily's character, does. She has a little ram cat. One of the things about like our world, which is our town is called Finale. It is our campaign is set in like a post-apocalyptic world. So kind of like if you've ever seen Princess Mononoke, one of those things of like the apocalypse happened, you know, maybe 1,000 years ago, and it took a very long time for things to rebuild. And so now we're starting to establish society again. Some parts of the world are starting to industrialize, but for the most part, you know, it's a lot of like living in buildings that have been reclaimed by plants and things like that. And so one of the things is, you know, perhaps as a result of the apocalyptic event that like destroyed our world, we've been intentionally vague about it, partly because, you know, it doesn't really matter what caused it. The animals are like combinations. So I think actually Avatar: The Last Airbender has a similar thing. So for example, well, yeah, but I think Mononoke kind of has a lot of that too. Anyway, for example, the livestock in our area primarily were these things called wolf deer. Point being, she has a pet ram cat, which is a cat with like little ram horns. But no, Kimber doesn't have any pets. She's not really so much of a pet person, I think. Maybe she would have some sort of bird of some kind, but I don't think she's a big pet enjoyer so much. But no, gosh, I'm trying to restrain myself from just talking too much, like literally just about our D&D campaign, but no, I am a big fan of it. It's a really fun world to play in. I have this monogrammed notebook that I've actually been using lately to take notes for Kimber. Do I like Bionicles? No, actually, I have never really gotten the chance to engage with Bionicles, sadly. I normally don't enjoy random live streams, but this has actually been a really cool hangout. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you. Yeah. Let's see here. Mononoke is more about the consequences of industrialization and disregard of nature. I absolutely agree. That's kind of one of the things that have been a theme. I don't write my notes in character. What I sort of write my notes for, oh, Friendly Space Ninja says, Happy New Year, Sarah. Hope the pretzels work out. Oh, thank you. Friendly Space, you made a video that I watched. I think it was on Emily in Paris. Was that you? I really liked it. Oh, thank you. Happy New Year. Yeah, I don't write my notes in character, but what I sort of write them to have is I primarily write them so that I can have a log of the story that I could read like years later. So I write them in a very, I try to write them in a very narrative sense. I try to like, you know, use the same poetic language that my DM uses. I try to capture exact pieces of dialogue and things like that. So I have here, one moment. I have Kimber's like character sheet right here, which you can tell that there was a combat recently and I haven't really gotten the chance to like erase stuff because I have her key tracked in like 3 different places because I didn't have an eraser. I have her like hit points in a million different places. It says Kimber 2 Electric Boogaloo because she died and came back. So I've got her like key save DC here. She has 1 cantrip, which is punch enemy. But for notes, they are, gosh, it's a little sad because I'm actually nearly out of notebook space, but this notebook starts at session 39 and it ends at, so far, our last session was I think it was like 73. Clara Bisson for $1. Oh, thank you so much, Clara. Oh, that's so sweet. Happy New Year. And then sometimes I doodle little stars and stuff like that. Pretzels are gonna be ready in 7 minutes. We are 7 minutes to pretzel time. Oh my God, I wrote so many fucking notes last session. Okay, that's session 70. So lots of stuff. But you can sort of see that when I'm sort of taking these notes, I'm trying to keep them kind of narrative so that I can read them later. So for example, I have some like direct quotes here from this scene that I'm kind of trying to do. You know, Whitney goes to see Pri, she's meditating in midair. You wanted to see me, ma'am? Pri immediately goes, I shouldn't have pushed so hard for everything. I showed poor judgment and I'm really sorry. So, you know, how do you know? Are you being honest with me? I'm sort of trying to keep these notes very like narrative so that I can read them and enjoy them and kind of have fun with them and have like a record of everything quite later on. So that's been very nice. But yeah, that's kind of how I've been keeping track. Well, how did we get to this? How do we always just come back to me talking about TTRPGs? But that's sort of that's how I've been keeping track of like D&D stuff. Yeah, I have 70,000 words. Well, okay, so my notes for the second campaign are more than 70,000 words because it's been like, 70 something sessions. However, I only have about 70,000 words written down on my computer because what I'm doing is, again, I really like to have like, I'm a big fan of records. I really admire people with like a huge amount of like data to like digitally record keep. I don't have enough space to do that, but I'm a big fan of like record keeping. So I have all of my notes written on paper because I love notebooks and I love physical paper. But then what I've also been doing is trying to transcribe them onto my computer. And so I have 70,000 words of notes from the campaign so far, but I don't have all of the paper notes like transcribed yet. So there's still like a few arcs missing. So it's more than 70,000 notes that are written, but it's all I have so far for like specific, like my digital thing. So Finale Lazarus, so our campaign is called Finale, and then our arcs have like specific names based on, because this is when we were getting my character from the underworld and we were like, bringing her back to life. So that's why it's called Finale Lazarus. But we've got like Finale Exodus, which is where we were in. It's a city called Brawl with a bunch of like pirate airships that are all like forever chained together. So that's Finale Exodus. We've got, we had Finale Catalyst, which was really fun, which was there was like a potentiality sort of arc. We had a little mini Resk arc, which was Finale Respite. We had Finale Homecoming, which was also fun. Anyway, we have a bunch of, we have a whole bunch of arcs, and I don't have all of them. It takes a really long time to transcribe stuff from like my notes into the digital realm, so I wish I had done that, and I still have to do all of that. But yeah, I'm a big fan of like note-taking in D&D and record keeping, both to keep the information and also just because it's very fun to have that sort of record of it. Yeah. Okay, how long until pretzel time? 4 minutes! We have 4 minutes until pretzel time. That's so soon. I'm so excited. Okay, let's see here. Let me make some tea now, or pour the tea because I've been talking for so long and I'm getting a little bit thirsty, but I'm very excited. Oh, I don't think there's any mods in here today. I think it's just me. I think it's just me over here at this moment. I didn't tell anyone I was streaming, so I can't blame anyone for not being in. Okay, let's pour some tea. It smells so good. The pretzels smell incredible. I have no idea how they're gonna turn out, if they're actually gonna turn that like nice, rich, dark pretzel color, but I'm really hoping. Why write by hand and then also transcribe to a document on your Mac? I don't really have a big answer to that, except for I think that like loud typing at the table can be distracting to the DM. I don't always want to like have my big computer with me, and I also just I like having physical notebooks. Even if I'm going to be more likely like reading my notes off of the Mac, I like writing stuff by hand, and I just like having a notebook. So there isn't really the optimal thing to do would just be to transcribe directly onto my computer, but it just feels nice and tangible to have it written onto paper. No, I have never made pretzel buns before. I've never made pretzel anything before, so I'm really hoping that it turns out. Are there any political streamers you like? No, actually, I don't watch any streamers, so I guess, maybe it is ironic being technically right now a streamer but not watching any, but no, I don't watch any streamers. It seems like they often seem to, you can photograph your handwritten notes and transcribe them. I've tried that. My writing is fucking illegible. I have taken a picture of my notes and tried to get the computer to transcribe them. It cannot read my handwriting, or I would. Yeah, streamers seem to have a lot of like drama associated, and that's not really the stuff that I like to watch for, so I tend to steer clear, but I'm sure there are good ones. I just can't speak for the quality of any specific ones because I just haven't watched them. Ooh, I might have to try with Evernote specifically. I've never used Evernote, but I have used other programs and it doesn't know how to read my writing, so, it's possible that the technology has gotten better since last time. Oh, I think I would enjoy a baking stream. It never actually occurred to me that there are people who stream actual baking, but that makes a lot of sense. That sounds like a very relaxing thing to do.
What's the best Harry Potter movie? Oh gosh, I don't really like to engage with Harry Potter stuff anymore, to be totally honest. Everyone hates the second one. I liked the second one when I watched it, but maybe, I don't know, as a child. Probably the third one's the best one, if I had to say, but also, you know, I don't really. How long until pretzel? It says 1 minute. Now, to be fair, it gave us a range, so it gave us 22 to 26 minutes. So it's possible that they're not going to be like fully ready by the time it says, but I'm also willing to cross my fingers on this and come get them. Oh, I'm so excited. Usually we just go to like a bakery and get them, but the thing about the bakery that we go to, which is Swiss Bakery in what is it, like Mount Pleasant in Vancouver, it's a great bakery. They make amazing pretzel buns, but you have to order them at least more than a day in advance and prepay online. And because it's kind of far and all of that, and there's not really anything that we do in that area, it kind of makes, you have to prepare for these a day in advance. I figure that if I just make my own, maybe we're kind of going to bypass that problem. Plus, I feel like I needed to bake something today because if people were following earlier, they might remember that I am making those 48-hour chocolate chip cookies, and I made them yesterday, so I can't have them today. I have to let the dough chill in the fridge for another night, and that's very difficult for me. I feel very impatient, so this is giving me something else to make for slightly more instant gratification. Exactly. Like, what if you're not in the mood to make that anymore? That's exactly right. Okay, I think they're pretty much going to be done, or at least I hope that when I open up the oven, they're going to be done. Okay, I think it's going to be pretzel reveal time. Let me grab, where's my of glove? Where's the of glove whose praises I was singing? Okay, let's see here. Are they ready? Oh, I'm actually, you know what? I'm actually going to give them like, I'm so sorry to like blue ball you guys, but I think I'm going to actually give them like 2 more minutes in there. I looked at them and they are, do I live in proper unaffordable Vancouver? I came to Vancouver during COVID times when rent was way cheaper, so I kind of got rent controlled into like being in a things being slightly more affordable for me. So that means that I can never move because if I move, I will not be able to afford living here. But because I just kind of got lucky with when I got my apartment, I live in a not horribly expensive spot. Plus it's like a 1-bedroom, so if I lived in Calgary, I would love to have a 2nd bedroom and have an office, but that's why I have to film my videos in my living room. Yeah, I'm gonna give them like 2 more minutes because the color was kind of starting to brown, but it didn't have that like distinctive pretzel-y like pretzelness. It doesn't have that like deep color. Have I seen Ted Lasso? Yeah, I watched the 1st season of Ted Lasso and I liked it. But I didn't really like, the 2nd season didn't grab me. Why do I think you're British even though you always speak in an American accent? Well, I'm Canadian, so we use some of the same language that the British use, and we have some like cultural artifacts that we've imported from the British. I would say that we still sort of sound closer to the Americans and are culturally more similar to the Americans, but there are still some Britishisms in there, so it is possible that like maybe you picked up on that. And also I was kind of a tea-aboo when I was a kid, and oh, I want to be in England, I want to meet Benedict Cumberbatch, so maybe you're still picking up on that, I don't know. But I sincerely hope not. I've never played tabletop games, but I looked up the Wanderhome one you brought up earlier and it looks really cute, so thank you for sharing that. Oh, I'm so happy. I hope you enjoy watching it. Honorary British if I want to be. I don't want to be, but I appreciate it. Same, honestly. Okay, are they ready yet? I don't like waiting. It's so hard to see because my oven doesn't have a light, so it's very hard to tell. Because I feel like if I keep opening up the oven to like check on it, it's going to oh, I got my 10% battery notice. Ooh. If I keep doing that, I feel like it's going to lower the temperature of the oven too much. So I'm trying to be patient and not just keep tricking myself into doing a pretzel reveal, but yeah. Well, normally I would shine my phone into the oven, but I'm using my phone to live stream, so I can't. Or else I absolutely would. Yeah, it would lower the oven temperature, so I'm gonna give it like 1 more minute and then. Have you played Mutants and Masterminds? I have not. I don't know anything about it. Bun, okay.
Let's see. I actually made, in terms of queer content recommendations, in the description of my queer baiting video, Dylan, I recommended some like queer art that I've really been enjoying lately. Let's see. If people who want to be British are Teaboos, what are people who want to be Canadian? Unrealistic. Nobody wants to be Canadian. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the timer, and I'm gonna take a final look at these pretzel buns, and let's see how they turned out. Are they ready? I'm still gonna give them like 1 more minute. I'm gonna give them 1 more minute. They have a nice brownness. Okay, I'm gonna give them like 60 seconds just because I wanted to flip them ever so slightly just to get the coloration on them like slightly more even. I did in middle school. Yeah, to be fair, that is something Americans really like saying, like, oh, I'm gonna move to Canada, and then they don't move to Canada because we're just as shitty, or at the very least, we're close. What neighborhood did I live in Canada? Well, I don't want to dox myself, and I don't want to dox my parents, but I lived in the Northwest, which was, you know, a pretty solid place to be. It was an okay part of Calgary. We're so close. We're so close to these pretzels. But I feel like in the photo, they were a little bit darker. They had a lot of that sort of more caribou. Oh, god damn it, that's really good. Caribou. If there was such a thing as weeaboos and teaboos for Canada, it would be caribous. That's great. I'm delaying for the DoorDash delivery to arrive. Yeah, there's actually no pretzels in the oven. That's why I haven't shown you so far. I'm just waiting for them to come and bring me pretzels on DoorDash, and then I'm gonna be like, look, I made them. Totally trust me. These are real pretzels that I really have made. Okay. I feel like if I put them in any longer, they're probably going to be overcooked. So even if I just feel like they were like browner in the video. They had this in the video, in like the original recipe photo. They had a really nice darkness to them, like this really glossy darkness that I'm worried isn't going to be as present here. So they looked okay, but I don't know. But to be fair, I also have to see how they taste. So that's true. Okay. Darkness on pretzel rolls depends on how long they're boiled. Oh, okay, that's actually good to know. Yeah, okay, I think it's gonna be time. The base, it was baking soda. Yeah, because I did do like 20 seconds on the 20 to 30 second thing, because it says that if you put them in for too long, then they're gonna get really sour, and I didn't want that, especially for the first time. I might boil them a little bit longer next time. Okay, pretzel reveal time. Oh yeah, they needed those few minutes. So they don't look, you know, as good to me as something from the bakery would, but I'm pretty happy with them for like a first time. They are over here. So let's see, they've got this nice pretzelness on the surface. They've all expanded a little bit in the oven, so I'm happy with that. The scoring has here, but they've got like a little bit of like crackling there. Yep, I think that they came out at just the right time. I think any shorter and they would be not really colored, but any longer and I think they would start to be overcooked. I'm gonna brush like a tiny bit more butter on each of them now, just because I can, and they're my pretzels, so I can do what I want. So I'm gonna do a little bit of extra brushing on them, but I'm quite happy with them. I think that they have turned out really tasty. I'm gonna let these guys cool a little bit before I actually eat them. Baked baking soda might work better. Oh, that's actually really useful. Yeah, this one I feel like is the most quintessentially like pretzel-y, so I'm very happy with it. The butter I think has caused nice browning. I'm going to boil them for a little bit longer next time, just because I think that will help them get a little bit of a darker color and a little bit more of like a shinier crust. But for a first one, I think it is pretty dark and I think it is pretty shiny. Yeah. I would like, you know, break them open so that you could see the crumb, but what makes them pretzel buns as opposed to regular buns? They taste like pretzels. They're boiled and they have like pretzel-y thingies. They're boiled before they're baked. Okay. With that having been said, I think it's gonna be, oh, I did a super good job. Oh, thank you. I've never made them before, so they're not perfect, but I think I'm pretty satisfied with them for a first go. I think probably my partner's gonna be coming home from work soon, and then we can actually make the pretzel burgers. Or pretzel burgers? Yeah, that's right, like pretzel veggie burgers. So we're probably gonna be able to make those pretty shortly. I'll probably like put a picture up on my I'll probably put a picture up on my Instagram for how they look. Yeah, it's been really nice. It's just been very fun to chill with people. I'm glad that other people have been having fun with it as well. That's super awesome.
Okay, great. I'm going to, don't come to 2024, it's not worth it. Okay, I'll do my best. I'll try to stay in 2023 for another 7 hours. Yep, I hope you guys follow the RPG Rex. There's some really good stuff. And I guess you didn't miss the live, but you are about to, sadly, because I am about to head out. Yeah, it's dark outside so early now, which is very sad. But this has been very chill, and I will see you all. Yeah, I did show you a tattoo of my D&D character. I will see you all in the new year. Happy 2024.